Hello, 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 and welcome to our live cast today. It's the Coaching Business Trends of 2019. And I have been working on behalf of you and your business for everything that you're working for. I wanted to bring you some of the trends that I have been noticing over this past year and over the recent past that are going to impact and influence you and your business, how you show up for your prospects, how you show up for your clients, the work you do, the way in which you do it, because I want you to have the most amazing business beyond your wildest dreams. That's what we're all about, is you creating a business beyond your wildest dreams so you can live the lifestyle beyond your wildest dreams. And when you know, I've got 6 trends that I want to share with you over the course of the next little bit of time that we've got together, so that you can integrate these into your business. So I just want to give a quick shout out to everybody. I see people were clicking on the link and asking if we've started. We're here. You should type in the comments. Just give me a quick, hey, hello, and make sure that you can hear me good, that you can see me good. I've got a lot of juicy information that we're going to be sharing. You're going to want to grab a notepad. You're going to want to grab a pen, something to write on, a note card, a journal, whatever it is, because I've got a lot of nuggets inside these trends. Not only am I going to share trends with you today, I'm going to give you some newbie tips. I'm going to give you some pro tips. So if you're just getting started, maybe you're in the early stages of your business, it's what I'm going to call newbie trends. And newbie tips, specific, concrete steps that you can take just getting started to start getting results today and right away, because that's what I want for you. I want immediate action for you. And if you've been at this a while, I'm also going to give you a pro tip so that you know what you can implement, because you maybe have already mastered the fundamentals. And if you're a newbie, you'll also have the pro tips, and I will just give you a heads up that be sure it's something that you work towards, because there might be some fundamentals that you need to have in place beforehand. Fair enough? Okay, good. So we've got some newbie tips coming. We've got some pro tips coming. Ryan says noob. Yep, I know. There you are. There's Wendy. Hello, and can see you just fine. There's Pam. There's Lou is with us. Lou says, I'm going to try to stay on as long as I can. Lou, I hope you're with us. Pop in and out. Like, I would love for you to be here the whole entire time, because what I've got, I am so excited for what I've compiled for you all today. And if you can't, then Lou, just hop back in if you can later on. Catch it as you can. There's Rod from North Carolina. Hope you're enjoying the snowstorm that we just had. We still have about 15 inches outside that we got this weekend. There's Elizabeth Craig. Hello there. Welcome. And Marnie's with us. And David says, probably can't hang in for 3 hours. Will this be available for review? The reason that we're doing it this way is that it will live inside Facebook. We're doing a simulcast, if you will. So this is running on our Coaches Console public Facebook page, and we're also, we've got it running inside our Coaching Lifestyle Facebook group. So you'll be able to find it there, not to worry. And that's why I wanted you to engage when you could. Maybe you'll pop in, maybe you've got clients, you'll pop out, and then you'll come back. So we're going to cover a lot and have some fun, and I'll keep it interesting for you. So this is all about the coaching business trends of 2019. And just to kind of give you an idea, we're going to cover each trend. I'm going to share some specific steps or tips for you. We're going to cover a scenario for how you can implement it. And I'll even take some questions for each of the trends. And we'll just kind of go through the 6 trends that I see as having the biggest impact for your marketing, for your onboarding, for your client experience. And David says, great. Okay, good. So let's get going. We're going to dive in. And the first trend, and just so you know, usually when I do these things, I've got everything. It's all in me, and I just kind of get here and I give it all to you. You're going to see me referencing my notes. So you'll see me looking down. I've got a few note cards and a couple pieces of paper, because I don't want to miss anything. I've compiled this research for you, and I want to make sure that I don't overlook anything. So if you see me looking down, or I've got a little flip chart over here with some notes and another little flip chart here with some reminders. So you might see me looking in different places, and that's all I'm doing, is I'm just making sure I don't miss a thing for you and your business. There's Renee. Hey, Renee, glad that you're here with us. Brenda says aloha from Las Vegas. Awesome. So let's get started, shall we? Let's talk about trend number 1. These are kind of in no particular order, but they do kind of flow together. So it's not that one is more important than the other. It's that you want to pay attention to all of them. So the first trend is really the way I articulate this one is that you want to create smaller chunks. I know that's not a sexy word or a very savvy word necessarily, but it is what it is. You want to create smaller chunks of interaction that creates an experience for greater engagement, forward progress, and faster results for your clients. One of the interesting things that we've been experiencing, for the last, maybe 3 or 5 years ago, not very long ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, it was all about how much information could I get access to, right? We're in the information age. We've been in that age for a while now. In the information age, technology certainly lends itself to that. Social media blew it out of the water, right? But it's always been about this information age. And what really made that thrive was the more information that I could get as a consumer, the better I felt, the more in control that I felt, the more that I believed I could get, like more information led to more results. So it was all about acquiring that information to help me feel better about the transformation that I was doing, right? Now, that information, one of the symptoms from that information is information overload, overwhelm, right? How many of your clients talk about, or maybe you experience this in your business, this feeling of being overwhelmed, this feeling of just consuming a lot, the bright, shiny object. It's like, oh, look, let me go get some of this. Oh, look, let me go get some of that. Oh, look, there's that. I can't forget that. And this bright, shiny object, the information age, this pattern of consuming all of the information, like it's left us feeling overwhelmed. And this is so important for you to know this. Now, before I go on, Maria says, can you please repeat that nugget? So here's the nugget. Create smaller chunks of interaction to create an experience. That's the word that I want you to really land with here, Maria, is the word experience. So create smaller chunks, little bite-sized pieces of interaction that creates an experience for your clients and prospects so they have greater engagement, forward progress, and greater sustainable results. Got it? So that's kind of the essence of this particular trend, right? And we're moving out of this information age because it's creating overwhelm. And this is the important thing that you all need to know, because when you're out there marketing, more information does not mean better. When you're sitting down with the prospect, right? Maybe you do sample sessions or initial consultations. Maybe you give webinars. Maybe you speak on stages. Maybe you do meet, however you interact with your prospects, whether it's in person or online, you need to know that the more that I give them does not mean the better that things are. It might mean that you're just contributing to the overwhelm. Okay, so we don't want to do that. And one of the antidotes to that is to break your marketing messaging into smaller little chunks, smaller messages, smaller blurbs, smaller blog posts, Facebook Lives, podcasts. Break it down into smaller bite-sized chunks that are, I'll say, consumable by the prospect, right? It doesn't feel like the fire hose coming at them, right? Like that's like I kind of tend to describe it that way. And so we want to break our marketing messages into smaller chunks. We want to break this into smaller chunks when it comes to bringing on new clients. And we want to break it into smaller chunks, smaller bite-sized pieces as we're working with our clients. So we just want to keep this in the back of our mind. Am I overwhelming my prospects and my clients? And here's what I want you to really pay attention to, because this is interesting. This is this is our passion that we're talking about, right? And Narika, hey Narika, I'm glad you're here. Narika says, I've observed this with myself and fellow entrepreneurs. Exactly. And this work that we do, it's our passion. And if we're not careful, our enthusiasm can get the best of us. And our enthusiasm, like we know the whole journey because we've been through that journey ourselves. And we so want to help that person sitting right next to it. It's like, I just want to get you to Pleasure Island. I just want you to have the results that you want. I so want that for you. And as a result, we turn on the fire hose and we douse them with everything we got because we're so enthusiastic, right? And we've got to break it down into bite-sized pieces. And Ryan makes a great comment. That's why Twitter works. Only 140 characters, straight to the point. Yes, it's why Snapchat is so popular, or even Instagram. It's like in the moment, quick short snippet video, got it, I'm good, let's go, right? It's why Facebook Lives came about. It used to just be about status. It used to be just about how many friends do you have. It used to be about what all the pictures that you have. Now it's about the little Facebook Lives, a little blurb here, a little blurb there, right? And so this is so important with this trend. Like information by itself is no longer deemed as valuable because people can get it anywhere and everywhere. And it's all over the place. So while information is still vital, it's not the only thing. And you have to pay attention. How am I overwhelming my people? Okay, my prospects and my clients. And what I want you to focus instead of, we're switching out of the information age. And here for a little while, we've been in this thing that people are calling the experience era. It's all about the experience that you can create with your prospects, the experience that your prospects will have when they encounter you, the experience that your clients will have when they enroll in your packages or services, when they sign up for a program or do an event or a workshop or a retreat with you. What's the experience that they can have? And it has to be in bite-sized pieces, okay? Let me see here. Before I go to the next piece, I think that's good for now. Yeah, Ryan says, we can't concentrate. I see a course has 120 lessons and I just turn away. Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, I get that there's everything that I'm going to need is in one place, but wow, I'm daunted right from the beginning. So what happens? We disengage, we shut down, and we stay isolated and stuck. And we go to who's next? Who does have something that I can actually experience to get results, not just take in information and experience. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but over the last maybe couple years, I'll say, give or take, there's a predicament. I don't know. What is the right word? A phenomena, a predicament, not a very good thing that's going on in our industry. People are, and maybe this describes your business. I don't know if you've had this experience, but they'll buy program A. Oh, it didn't work. Then they buy program B. It didn't work. Buy program C. Gosh, didn't work. Buy program D, E, F, G, H, I, and J. Oh, it didn't work. Right. And that's the information, a signal from that. It's like the more information I get, then eventually, hopefully, I'll get results. Not true. And so buyers are becoming very, they're evolving into a much savvier buyer, that information is no longer enough, right? And so when you're creating your marketing messages, you have to do it in a way that creates an experience for them. And then once you get them to the yes, then you have to create an experience bringing them on. And then once they're in your program or in your package, you have to create a certain experience for them when they're going through your program, right? So what I want to break down for you is how this applies to your marketing, to your onboarding, and to your content delivery. So for marketing, right, rather than like what used to be the trend, let's say is maybe it was a 90-minute webinar. Webinars were an amazing thing. They still are an amazing thing, but you got to really pay attention to how you do them, right? And so how can they be an experience, right? So when you're doing your marketing, if you're doing a webinar, rather than having one 90-minute webinar or one longer training that has a bunch of teaching points in it, then create instead smaller, shorter. So maybe you have 3 shorter trainings that you spread over a few days. Could be something like that, right? So that's how you can begin to implement this new trend where you want to create an experience in bite-sized, smaller chunks for your marketing, for your onboarding. And let me just define onboarding. Some people may not know exactly what that is. And onboard, before we move to that, I love what Tanya just said. Tanya said, overwhelm is exactly why I'm doing more 5-day challenges. This is right on point. Yeah, that's another great example, Tanya, of instead of it just being about information, it's information in action, right? That's the experience, information in action. That's the experience to have. And in those 5-day challenges, you're having them do, okay, what's the first step? All right, great, let's go do that. Now that's done. You've had that experience. Now what's the second step? And it's actually experiential, not just learn, 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 learn. So you set them up. So beautiful on that one. Okay, onboarding. Let's define this and how you can apply this trend to onboarding. So with onboarding, there's a difference. I'll make the distinction between housekeeping and onboarding. So when somebody says yes, whether they say yes to your coaching package, they say yes to a program you have, they say yes to an event that you put on or anything like that, when they say yes, a lot of people make the mistake of just focusing on housekeeping. What's the form I need you to fill out? What's the waiver I need you to sign? How do you log in to access information? Like that, while it's necessary, it's kind of housekeeping type of stuff, right? Instead, onboarding is an experience that somebody has where they pay attention, where you pay attention to creating a certain sequence of maybe it's messages, emails, videos, things like that, where you're paying attention to when somebody says yes to your packages and programs and services, what happens immediately, like the first minute that they say yes to you, what happens in the next hour, what do they need to experience in the next day? What do they need to experience in that first week and in the first month? So you're creating this experience for them to get to, for you to bring them on to your business, into your package, into your program, so that they're primed and ready to start experiencing the content you're about to deliver them. So onboarding is the gap from the yes to the time the coaching package starts or the program begins. It covers that gap, and that's onboarding. And we want to have a specific sequence in place where we break this down in bite-sized pieces. Okay, so that's onboarding. So instead of that, like I said, that fire hose approach with onboarding where you give them everything at once and then it's up to the buyer, up to your new participant or your new client to sort through it all and figure it out, you give it to them in small little chunks, right? What I love about this is when you do this, it captures the new buyers, that new client, the new member of your program. It captures their enthusiasm. Why did they say yes in the first place? And that energy, this new onboarding sequence, it captures that energy and keeps that momentum going so that they don't bump into limiting beliefs or mindset issues or get stuck on anything or get isolated or experience overwhelm. Right? So onboarding is a critical piece to pay attention to, okay? And then for your program, much like in your marketing, back in the day when we first launched our bootcamp program, we had 7 modules. And in each module, there was a 90-minute training. And the idea, because it was appropriate all those years ago, people wanted to get all the information they could so they can do what they needed to with it. It worked back then. That has evolved and it no longer works now. So when we reimagined our boot camp, now we have each module, but inside each module, there might be 6 or 7 or 8 little smaller lessons. So I only teach one main teaching point within each lesson, right? So break down your, when you deliver your content, instead of, if module 1 is all about ABC topic, pull out A, let it be a short module. Pull out B, let it be a short separate lesson. Pull out C, let it be another separate short lesson so that people can consume them in their timing and in their pace. All right, so that's how it applies to marketing. So again, what we're talking about in this first trend is creating smaller chunks of content and material and messaging into bite-sized pieces so you can create an experience for your clients to engage with. So here's, I want to give you some concrete steps. So get your pencil out if you, or pencil. Does anybody use a pencil anymore? I do because I'm an artist. Grab a pen, a pencil, a highlighter, a marker, whatever you got. Type it in your Evernote, however you're taking notes. But I want to give you some concrete steps here for this one. And I want to give you a short-term step to take for this trend so that you can begin to evaluate this immediately in your business. So I want you to evaluate your onboarding experience. I know a lot of people pay a lot of attention to the marketing, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Ryan uses crayon. Yeah, me too sometimes. It's just the best. Anyway, what was I saying? I got distracted. Evaluate the onboarding. I'm going to talk in a minute about the marketing and about your content delivery, but I just want to focus on the onboarding because most everybody that I talk to, they skip this. They don't even give it the time of day. And this right here, when somebody says yes, that gap of time is the most critical time to keep them engaged, to build on that momentum, okay? And I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. So I'm going to say these 3 questions. Then I'll go into each of them more deeply. But you can write these 3 questions down. So the first question is, do I have an onboarding experience? Do you even have one? Maybe yes, maybe no. So that's the first question to ask. And that means, do you provide that sequence of messages between the time somebody says yes and the time somebody starts their coaching package with you or starts the program with you, whatever that gap is? Do you have a sequence that spans that gap to give them in bite-sized pieces what they need to know, what they need to experience to get going? Okay, that's the first question. And then if you don't, it's time to have one. We're going to talk about that in a second. If you do, the second question is, am I overwhelming my prospects and my clients with that fire hose approach? Am I giving them everything they need all at once, leaving them to kind of dissect through it, or am I giving it to them in bite-sized pieces? So this is where overwhelm comes in, okay? Begin to break down. I was talking with a colleague, and she kind of gave him the fire hose. Her email was 4 pages long. She gave, when somebody signed up for her program, I think it was a 4-month program, and it was a 4-page email, and she gave them everything all at once. She's like, well, they need to know it, so here it all is. Right? I understand that thinking. And people likely wouldn't read it. So they weren't equipped. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know where to show up. And so instead, begin to break down that everything you need them to know. Take 1 point, make it be in 1 message. Take the second point, let it be in a second separate message. Take the third point in a separate message and break it down into smaller pieces. I kind of call it the popcorn trail, leaving the popcorn trail. It's like, pick up a piece, I got it, I'm good, what's next? Pick up the next piece, I got it, I'm good, what's next? That's the kind of experience, because when you can do that, your clients can pick up those pieces faster and faster as they go, okay? And then the third question that I want you to use to evaluate this is, do I already provide guidance and details to my clients in those bite-sized pieces? And do I create an easy-to-follow experience that keeps them engaged? So the third layer, the third question to evaluate is, are you just giving information, or are you creating a way for them to get engaged and have an experience with you or with your community? Okay. So that's kind of a short-term tip that I want to give you. And then once you do it, you can ask these same 3 questions for marketing. Am I creating an experience for my prospects? Am I overwhelming them with the fire hose approach? I'm giving them too much all at once. And so they're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what's going on. Or if you do create a great experience for them, is it engaging? Is it just information-based, or is it experience-based? So you can apply that to your marketing, and then the same 3 questions can be applied to your content when you deliver your content in your packages or programs. Okay, Mitch, I've got a couple questions. Mitch says, let's see. Mitch says, isn't overwhelm subjective? Some people can handle and demand more. Others need little bites. It's true. Some people do want more. What we have found in our extensive research for this and all of our years in working with this is that the people that can and do demand more, It's about that big of a percentage. I don't have an exact number for you, Mitch, but it is a rare small group, and that group is dwindling in size. And what we've actually found more times than not is the people that are demanding, as you say, they're like, I need to have it all, and I need to have it all right now. More times than not, when we have gone underneath what's underlying that demand, is that it's fear-based, and they actually are using that as a reason and as an excuse to not buy the program. And so just be super cautious, because there are some people, I'm actually one of those people. Give me all the information, leave me alone, and I'll have it worked out in a weekend. It's how I work. I'm in the rare top, probably 2% of the people out there. Most of the clients that we're working with, 90% would be my guess, but I don't have a scientific reason for that number. But 90%, a large majority of the people that we all are working with in this transformational space that we're in, need and want to have it into smaller pieces. And when they do, even those people, even people like me, when I'm like, I know you don't give it to me, you drip it a little bit a week at a time, and I go in that rhythm, what I find is I actually have better learning. Even though I did want it all at once and I need it all because I'm going to move faster than anybody, when I move at a certain pace, I actually learn better, I learn deeper, I have deeper application, and I can apply it in bigger ways that gets me bigger results than I have moved through it pretty quickly. So just be super careful about that, Mitch. While it can be true, it could be a big red flag in your enrollment conversations, okay? Ryan says, if I could tell you how to get rich in one sentence, wouldn't it be better than spending a lifetime trying to figure it out? Yeah. Can you tell me how to get rich in one sentence? I don't think so. I doubt it. Maybe you could. Actually, Napoleon Hill did Think and Grow Rich. It's all about the thoughts we think. So that is one right there. And then you spend a lifetime implementing it. So there's a difference between learning and implementing. And Sherry said, I'm usually wanting more faster too, but when I get faster, I'm often overwhelmed. And that's a really good point, Sherry. There's a phrase that I absolutely love. I use it in our training programs. I think it comes from, it might be the Army. I'm going to get this wrong, and I'm sure somebody will correct me. If you know it, let me know. Slow is steady, steady is fast, right? And that's the approach that we're seeing in this experience area, is to go slower so that you can be more thorough, so that you can not only learn, but experience and implement simultaneously, so that you are getting results. Like all of that goes hand in hand. And when you go slow and steady, once you've got that learning and you're implementing, then the system's in place and it's working, generating the results, right? Okay, so let's go on to, well, any other questions for this first trend? If you've got questions, you can comment below, and then we're going to move into the second trend, which kind of flows right out of this. But if you've got questions, type them below. And you know, when we've got our live event coming up in February. We did our first one this last February. It was an overwhelming success. We got a lot of positive feedback from the participants. They got great results from it. We're doing it again this February. And we're going to be covering more about this particular trend. It's a 3-day event in February. We're going to cover more about this particular trend a little bit on the first day and again on the third day, so that you are really clear in how you're creating that onboarding experience, how you're implementing your marketing. So you're bringing the right people, helping them have an amazing experience so that they have clarity and that they're saying yes to your packages, your services, and having that experience with you. So we're going to be diving even deeper into that in our live event. We did this a little bit this last year. We're going to do it, and we're adding to it again this year because we're seeing this trend just increase and expand in its impact in this industry. So we want to make sure that you're equipped with that. Narika just said it was phenomenal. Yeah, Narika was there. Narika was on stage with us, actually. She got to be on stage. That was super fun. So this is something that we're going to cover in more detail, and we're going to not only learn about this trend, but we're actually going to implement it as well. So together we're going to be learning it and doing it at the same time come February. Renee says, I just registered and I'm so excited to attend. Yeah, that's going to be fun having you there, Renee. So glad that you'll be there. So speaking of that, if you also want to join us for the live event, you'll see the link scrolling on the screen below, coachesconsole.com/live. We do have a special going on right now that ends soon, where you can get early bird pricing and have a significant savings on the price of the ticket. If you want to come and learn in person with us, where we're going to be learning and experiencing this together, like we're listening to our own words of wisdom here, and we're going to give you a full experience where we're going to learn this information and implement it while we're there. So you can grab your ticket and ask what's the cost. When you go to the link, coachesconsole.com/live, when you go there, you'll see all the details. Right now, there is some early bird pricing, so you can get a savings on that. You'll see all of that at that link below. So that's trend number one. Let's see. I think that's it for trend one. We've got a couple questions about how long this is. We have created this live cast for 3 hours. And the reason that we've done this is because we know you're going to come in and out. You're going to pop in and out. This is also going to live on the Facebook group and on the page. So you'll be able to come back to it. And you'll be able to come and get the trends, or if you need to listen to one in a little more detail to get the pro tips or the newbie tips or the concrete steps to take, you'll be able to do that. So it's designed for you to come in and out and have the experience that you need to have and flow with this. But I'm going to be here because I want to share all of this with you, and then you'll be able to grab it into your bite-sized pieces as you need and want to. All right, let's go to trend number 2. And as we go through this, if you all have questions, you've been doing a great job typing in your questions and comments. Keep those coming. I'm going to answer as many questions. I got Stephanie. She's sitting here. She's queen of production. So wave, Stephanie. There she is. So she's scrolling through and she's helping me keep up because you all are typing faster than I can talk and read simultaneously. So she's helping me organize all of this. So if you do have questions, type this in and we will make sure to get those answered as we go. All right. Anne asks, will it qualify for ICF continuing education credits? It does not yet. We will be looking into that. I can't promise that it's going to, but as of right now, when you're asking the question, no, it does not. Okay. Trend number 2. This is one of my favorite trends. It's also a trend that most people don't think about. And this trend, when it comes to our business, it's not just about making the sale. It's not about just getting the client. So many people out there, they put so much attention on marketing, which you have to, right? You've got to master the skills of marketing. Just like you have to master the business of marketing. I mean, the business of coaching, and you've got to master the skills of coaching itself. You got to be a great coach. You got to have a great business, and you got to be good at marketing. All of that has to be true. But so many people put so much attention on marketing that it's all about get the client, make the sale. I see that so many times. And they have swung to the extreme about get the client, make the sale, that they forget about the other, what might even be a more important part. Because this evolved buyer that's in our industry, that's in our space, because they're in this spot of information overload, and we're moving into this experience area, this experience era, our new prospects, our new clients, they are requiring, and I would use a strong word like demanding, a great, outstanding client experience. It's not just about what you can teach me and will that help me get results, but it's about what will I experience and how will that help me in support and guidance and accountability to getting those results, right? So you've got to pay attention, equal parts. Marketing, getting that client, making that sale, hitting that conversion, reaching that yes, however you want to articulate it. And you also have to pay attention to creating an optimal client experience. Both are so important. And you know, when we talk about this information age, back in the day, and this is just a couple years ago, this isn't very long ago, right? It's just been in the last year to year and a half that these trends have really been emerging stronger, and they're on the upswing. And so in the coming year, in 2019 and even beyond, they're just going to continue to enhance in their strength and in their impact. But in the information age, because it was all about what can you teach me, it was just about what can you teach me? Now give me access to it, leave me alone, and I'll be fine. Right? And so you're like, here, go, take it. You've got it. I'm good. So because of the information age, you could actually then say, okay, now let me go focus my marketing efforts on the next client. Where can I get the next client? Or what is the next piece of marketing I need to do to continue to get more clients coming in? So the information age allowed us to think that way. It's like, all right, you've got the information, you're good, I'm gone. And as long as they had access to it, then you could keep moving and keep focusing on marketing. With this experience area, not so much. Right now, it's not only about what information is going to help me get results, but what experience are you creating that's going to help me in support and be accountable to create those results. It's the information plus the accountability and that experience that we're talking about, right? And so we've got to map out that optimal client experience. Do you have an optimal client experience already mapped out? So this, you can kind of see how this flows from trend one. Onboarding is the beginning of your optimal client experience. And then what is the rest of that experience that client is going to have when they're working with you, whether it's a one-on-one private client, whether it's somebody in your group coaching program, whether it's somebody that's coming to a retreat that you're doing or a workshop that you're giving. However you're packaging your services, what is that experience? And so I want to walk through how to think about mapping out your optimal client experience. And we can break it into 3 parts. So the optimal client experience can be broken into, the first part is the pre-experience. And the pre-experience is all about just leading up to the yes. It's about the marketing. It's about the nurturing that you're doing, right? It's before the yes. And then you have the onboarding experience. And that is immediately after the yes. Like I said earlier, as soon as somebody says yes to your services, your packages, or your programs, what's going on with them the first minute, the first hour, the first day, the first week, the first month? And what is that onboarding sequence and experience you're creating? And then the third component of this is the program experience. That follows the yes. Once they get engaged with you and they're now working with you in your coaching sessions or in the modules that you're giving them or however you're doing that, what's the program experience? So your optimal client experience is broken into 3 things: the pre-experience, the onboarding experience, and the program experience. Right? The pre-experience, like I said, is just about engaging. How are they engaging with you when you're nurturing them, when you're creating relationships with them until they get to that point of yes. And then the onboarding, like I make the distinction earlier in trend 1, it's not just about housekeeping. It's about the sequence that bridges that gap from the yes to the moment the first coaching session starts or module 1 begins. What's that sequence? And in that sequence, like, you have to know your clients at such an intimate level. And you may not know that exact client, but you know your ideal type of client at such an intimate level that your new buyers, your new clients, your onboarding experience is addressing things like their mindset. What kind of thoughts are they thinking when they say yes to hiring you or say yes to your program or your product or your service? Okay. So what is that all about? The other thing that your onboarding experience is going to include evidence through social proof, right? That's going to create engagement. It helps them know that they're not alone. It helps them know, oh, others like me are experiencing this. Okay, I'm kind of normal, so that's good. So that it releases the shame or the judgment or the blame that they might have. So that gets them engaged. And it shows them what's possible when you actually show up and do the work and you're engaged in this. Here's what you too can create. And so your onboarding would also include that social proof. And it's also going to, you're going to share with them why When you give them module 1, for example, if you've got a 12-week program, when you deliver the content for a particular module, you're going to make sure in your onboarding that you're telling them why you're including it. When people understand the why behind the information you're sharing, they're more committed to it and they're more likely to engage with it and complete it. So your onboarding is going to address those types of things. Okay. Ross asked a question. Ross says, how is point 2 or trend 2 different from trend 1? Both are about the experience. Yeah, the experience, you're going to hear the experience kind of woven throughout a lot of different things, Ross. This is a great question. Where trend 1 was really about less information and more about experiences, about how are they engaging with you? What's the experience? How are they engaging with you in your marketing, right? So it's trend 1 focuses on breaking things into smaller bite-sized pieces. That's really the essence of trend 1 for the action for you to take. So yep, it's about experience, but the action, break things into smaller pieces so it's easier for them to take in, easier for them to consume, easier for them to learn, and easier for them to implement. The second trend, yes, experience is a big part of it. And this really is about shifting your focus away from getting the client, making the sale, marketing. And once you have the sale, it's like, okay, that's done. Now I just have to show up for my coaching session. No, that is not it. You have to map out, intentionally map out from the moment somebody says yes to the moment that agreement with you is done, that optimal client experience. What is that experience they're going to have? How are they going to encounter the information? How are they going to receive information from you? How are they going to interact with you? What is that sequence of messaging that you're going to give them in bite-sized pieces to get them started? And then how are they going to interact with the material? Where do they log in? What does that look like? What is that experience? If I have questions, where do I go for help? All of that is going to be mapped out in the optimal client experience. So really, Ross, the second trend is about, it's not just about get the client, make the sale. It's also, and maybe more importantly, about implementing and mapping out the optimal client experience. Okay. So great distinction. Thanks for bringing that up so that we can really land that clarity. So that, and I want to give you a couple of scenarios. And these are real life scenarios. I'm going to protect the innocent. So I'm going to use Coach ABC, that's scenario 1, Coach XYZ, that's scenario 2. And so let's say that you just, how many of you have ever signed up for a coaching program, right? So let's say it was like a boot camp, maybe a boot camp program, a 6-month program, a 10-month program, a 4-week program, some kind of program. You've said yes to that, right? So let's say that you signed up with a program that's going to help you 10x your business. I'm just making up this scenario right now. Let's say, Sherry, I'm going to use you as an example. You're top of my list right now. So Sherry, you've just signed up for a program to help you 10x the results in your business. And you're super nervous and super excited all at the same time. And here is scenario 1 that you experience with Coach ABC. 12 days after you sign up with the program, Coach ABC finally gets around to sending you an email with all the course details. It's a 4-page email. I was telling you about this scenario earlier. It's a 4-page email that has everything that you ever needed to know about this program in it. In this email, should you actually take the time to read it, you'll know the schedule of all the calls, the retreats that are happening, the workshops, the details, the agendas of the workshop. You'll be told for how to prepare for each of your sessions. You'll be told how to prepare for the retreats. You'll be told what you need to pack and what you need to bring for the workshop. Then they're going to ask you to schedule your bonus sessions because you got some private coaching session along with this program. They're going to tell you how to schedule that. They're going to give you a link to take a 20-question assessment before you get started. And finally, to make sure that you've collected everything you need, they're going to give you a checklist of 4 important pieces of data you need to go grab and complete to bring with you to the initial session to get started. That was scenario number 1. Sherry says, 12 days, I've already asked for my money back. Now, why is that, Sherry? Let's just play with that right there. I'll give you a few minutes to type that in. And I know you say LOL, but that's actually what happens. It's like, I said yes and the world went dark. What happened? Right? So that was crazy. So that's scenario one. While Sherry's typing that in, the other little caveat that I'll say is that the good news with this scenario is that, the program doesn't start for another 2 weeks. So you got plenty of time to go through that email and kind of sort it all out and organize yourself. Yeah, Ryan said the same thing. Ryan says, 12 days later, I would have contacted support for a refund. Yeah. Why is that, Ryan? Answer that question. And Sherry says, well, the reason why I'd ask for a refund is because I'm impatient. I lost the momentum. And there's the key right there, right? This is why the moment somebody says yes, what happens the very next minute, hour, day, week, and month are vital. It's one thing to get a no when you're doing a sample session or when you're doing a webinar, offering a program, or speaking on stage, taking applications for a mastermind that you do, or whatever it is, right? It's one thing to get a no. That's like, oh man, that hurts. But when you get a yes that then turns into a no, that's even worse, especially when you could have done something about it. Yeah, Narika says buyer's remorse kicks in. It's exactly right. Our villains kick in, our mindset gets the best of us. Oh my gosh, and all this, and then we talk ourselves out of it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's one scenario. And that's why you want to make sure that you outline the optimal experience for your clients. Now, I do want to say this. What's good about this scenario, the coach was enthusiastic, right? There's that fire hose. It's like, oh my gosh, I want to give you everything, right? So the coach was enthusiastic. We just got to break that down. Trend one, we got to break that down into bite-sized pieces. The coach's intent was to set you up for success. So that intention was certainly there. What was good about this is everything was in place so the clients could find it in the future and easily access it. So those were some good things about it. But like you all have said, what was overwhelming about this was you didn't hear from anybody. Buyer's remorse kicked in. It was a vast amount of information that immediately kicked into overwhelm. So you just shut down and isolated. When you did sit down to read it, you became even more overwhelmed. And you're like, wow, I can't do this. So you give up not only on the program, but you give up on yourself, right? And then you were also left isolated. It's like, here's everything you need. Okay, off I go. And you were left alone. Isolation is the enemy to success, right? Yeah, Ryan says, high ticket especially, we begin to doubt our investment. And this is important, Ryan, that is very true. If you're paying, $15,000 for a mastermind or $25,000 for a coaching package or $5,000 for some other kind of program, absolutely. And there are those times when somebody's buying a $1997, a $2,000 program or a $500 program. And for them, it feels like $5,000, right? So no matter what kind of package, we begin to doubt ourselves. We doubt the investment because we're doubting ourselves. And Brenda says we rationalize ourselves away from our truth or the truth that we need. Yeah, and that is so dangerous, right? And that's what we don't want to create that for our new clients. We want to do the opposite, right? And that's why this is all about creating and mapping out that onboarding and optimal client experience for your clients. Right. So now I want to go through the next scenario. Same scenario, right? So I'll use Ryan because you're at the top of my list. And at the top of our comments there. So Ryan, let's say that you just signed up for a new program that's going to promise to 10x your business, right? Again, I'm just making it up. So here's a different scenario. Instantly upon signing up, the moment you click that button and you say yes and you submit your credit card details, there is a welcome video the person who's running the program, and their entire team is behind them, giving this crazy, outrageous, fun welcome video, welcoming you to the program and letting you know how excited they are that you are now part of this community. So right off the bat, you've got that welcome video. And when you're done with that video, now you have excitement. You're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, right? So the excitement is still there. And as soon as you're done with that, already waiting in your inbox is an email that validates the smart decision you just made and reminds you of why you just said yes. So we've got acknowledgement, we've got celebration, we've got validation, right? So they're validating that smart decision that you just made. They're giving you a very short idea of what to expect next, but they don't give it all to you then, because then the following day, you're going to get a separate email. And that separate email is inviting you to get connected because they don't want you to isolate. And they invite you to get connected to the community in a private Facebook group. Let's say there's a number of ways you can do that, but let's just use Facebook group in this example. So they invite you to get connected. So you log into that Facebook group and you immediately see a swarm of people in there sharing successes and celebrations, asking questions, getting answers, resources being passed around, pictures of folks doing things. And you're like, wow, this is an interesting group. And so now you're curious and you want to be involved. And then it doesn't stop there. The following day, you have another message of a potential pitfall that's going to maybe prevent you from being successful. And they're going to give you a tool or information or something that you can experience to make sure that pitfall does not happen for you. So they're setting you up for success. And you're like, okay, but it's in one message. And you're like, okay, I can take that in and I can do that. So I'm make sure I don't fall prey to that pitfall. And then the next day after that, they're going to give you a schedule, right? And that schedule is going to be, here's when all the modules are released. Here's when the calls are going to happen. And they're going to give you all the information so you can add that to your calendar. Because when it's on your calendar, you prioritize it, right? So you're like, oh, but that's the only thing in that piece. So you're like, oh, let me just click, 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 schedule, schedule, schedule. I'm good to go. And then they're going to give you access to module 1. So all of that happened before module 1 ever began. Right? Can you see the difference? Yeah, that is a much more engaging experience. Ryan says, love that. Makes me feel all warm and fuzzy that they got my back. Exactly. Exactly, exactly, exactly. And they haven't left me alone with all this information. No way. That's been the problem because you've been left alone to figure it out on your own. If we knew what to do, we would have done it already. We wouldn't have to invest money to get help doing it, right? But we don't. So that's why we say yes to these programs and these experiences. So there's the scenario and there's the difference and why this second trend is so important. And it also begins with onboarding. So yes, Ross, you can see how trend 1 and 2 are super dovetailed together. And we've got to pay attention to this. So again, trend 2 is not just about making the sale, getting the client, but it's also about making sure you put equal parts attention, time, energy, investment on mapping out and creating the ideal client experience that's going to create the warm and fuzzies for your people so that they know you have their back, just like Ryan just said. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to give you a couple of, Ryan just says, I don't want to feel abandoned. And the only email I get from them is another offer for something that is identical as what I bought from them. You're like, yeah, dude, like, are you actually talking to me? Or am I just another name on a list or an ID number on your contacts? Or, right, like we want this to be personal. We want it to be intimate, right? Sherry, oh, this is a great question. Sherry says, this sounds more like an online course than a coaching package. Do people have modules in their coaching packages? I'm a newbie, no clients yet. So Sherry, the scenario that I did was specifically around a program where there's content being delivered. So for sure, that's going to sound like that. However, if you're just offering coaching services, it's still the same. It's still the same. Now, they may not be hopping on a group call with other people, but they're going to be engaging with you in coaching sessions, right? So instead of modules, it's about the coaching session with you. So Sherry, your scenario, if you're just offering coaching packages, when somebody says yes, to hiring you, to saying yes to one of your coaching packages. On average, it could be anywhere from 5 days, a week, maybe 2 weeks before that first coaching session might actually start, right? So that little gap is that onboarding experience, number one. And then once they are a client, what is the experience they're going to have in engaging with you? Now, you're a Coaches Console member, so you have your private client portal that they can log into. It keeps them organized. That's designed to make sure that you're giving your clients information in bite size. Like, we've built this trend into that back-end portal so that it happens that way. But even with your coaching packages, you're still going to break it down, just like I said, a little bit earlier. So it's true for programs, it's true for packages, it's true for events. Like if you're leading a 3-day workshop and you're bringing 30 people to a 3-day live workshop, same thing, same kind of process, okay? And Sherry, I want you to write this down because the newbie step, as you just said, you're a newbie in all of this. The newbie step that I want you to do is, at a minimum, create a series of 5 onboarding messages. The first message that goes out immediately, instantly. As soon as they say yes, the first message that goes out should validate their decision, the smart decision, and remind them of why they said yes. And it should help them prioritize what they just said yes to. So you can give them the schedule. Maybe for a coaching package, maybe they identified that every Thursday at 3:00, that's their coaching slot. So you can remind them of that. Or if you're doing a coaching program, let them know when each module is going to be released or when each call is going to be held. Okay. Then the second one that goes the very next day is to get connected. And if you're doing a program where there's a lot of people participating, or you do group coaching, then this would be how to get connected to the group, right? Facebook group. Do you have a thread on WhatsApp? Do you use Voxer? Do you use a Yahoo group? Are you meeting in person? Like, however you do that, however your community gets together, let them know how to get connected. If you're just offering coaching packages, then it's how to connect to you as the coach, okay? How to connect to you as a coach. So Sherry, again, you're using Coaches Console. So in that client portal, they can connect to you through the client log. So they always have access to you, even though they may not have a coaching session for several days or a week or so. So how do they get connected? Then the third onboarding is implementation and accountability. And this is where you're going to let them know that we're not only going to have great coaching, we're not only going to have great learning, but we are going to have great doing as well. And this is learning and doing. We're going to talk more about this in another trend that's coming up, but learning and doing side by side, not just learning information in the training programs and the content you deliver, not just having great light bulb moments in coaching sessions, but actually taking that information, taking that aha, and implementing it into action. That's the third onboarding message. The fourth is showing examples of others who've created success in what they did, like case studies, testimonials, client comments. If you don't have any clients yet, use your own story as an example. Give them evidence of what they're working towards. And then the fifth one is access to the first coaching session and all the details. Where do they need to call? How do they get access? How do they dial in? What do they need to know? A reminder for that, or access to module 1, whether it's live or you're dripping them content that's being released. Okay. So those are the newbie steps for the second trend. Okay. I'm just going to repeat them again. So number 1, these are the 5 onboarding messages that you should have at the very minimum. Validate their decision and prioritize by scheduling, getting connected to the community or to you as the coach, implementation and accountability. They're not just going to learn great information, they're going to do great implementing. Examples of others through case studies, client comments, testimonials, evidence of what's possible when they engage in the journey. And then the 5th one is access to the first session, okay? Or the first module. Then I want to give you a pro tip. So that was a newbie tip. Now I want to give you a pro tip because many of you might already have some onboarding messages. If you do, you might want to tweak them and make sure you're including these elements in your onboarding message. But the other one is to gamify. So the pro tip I want to give you is to gamify the onboarding experience. Make it fun and set in deliberate moments of celebration and milestones and acknowledgement within the community. When you can bring that element of fun to the acknowledgement and celebrations, momentum builds, it becomes contagious, the fun begins to spread. Now more people are getting involved, more people are getting results, and more people are happy, okay? Now at our live event that we've got coming up, we're gonna get into this in even more detail on day 3. So we're gonna cover this. I know I'm giving you a lot, but I wanted to give it to you now before we even get into next year. And when we get together early in the year at the live event, the event is taking place. It's in Atlanta. So it's easy to get to no matter where you're. We've got people coming from Israel. We've got people coming from the UK. We've got people coming from Canada, from North America, from all over the place, from Romania. And we'll be getting together in Atlanta. So it's easy to get there. And it's on February 11, 12, and 13. We wanted to have it in the early part of the year so we can set you up to have your best year ever. And we thought Valentine's Day, it's always a fun way to make sure that we love up your business. We love up you and your business so that your business can be living up you and your family for the rest of the year. And when you click the link, let's get that link on that screen. There it is. When you go to coachesconsole.com/live, when you go there, you'll see all the details for the event, the dates, the information. I give you a little idea of what's going to be covered, how we're going to break it down. And the thing that I want you to know is right now, we have an early bird special price for the tickets. So the deadline's coming up soon. When you book your ticket before the deadline, you'll have a significant savings on the ticket. So we're going to dive in and have a full immersion, experiential kind of event together. And I'd love for you to be there because I'd love to keep this discussion going so that you can really have the best year ever. We're going to really be sharing those small tweaks that you can make that are related to these trends and so much more. But it's about the small tweaks in your coaching business that leads to the big transformation. That's where we're going to be focusing. And I want you to have that kind of experience in your business next year as well. So head over to coachesconsole.com/live and get your ticket before the early bird special pricing is gone. And you can also tell your friends about it, right? You can bring a friend to this so that you can share that link with your friends. They too can get that special savings for the early bird. So you can also tell your friends, just give them that coachesconsole.com/live and they can come to the event as well. Heidi says, is there a live stream option? There is not a live stream option. We did a lot of debating with that with my team, and we did not live stream it last year. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be in the room because it's such an experiential kind of an event. We are not going to live stream it. So you do have to be there to experience it with us. So you can get all the details there at coachesconsole.com/live stream. The Sherry asked about the hotel rate. Yeah, when you, we can get you that information, Sherry. My team can get you the information. We do have a special room block. So we have worked with the hotel, the venue where we're having the event, and we have a room block that has a special discounted room rate as well for our participants and our attendees. So Sherry, Stemmy's making a note of that right now. I see her off to the side here. She'll be in touch with you, Sherry, to make sure you've got that information so that you can get those details and you can make that decision. But Sherry, I hope you're there, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. Any questions about trend? No. Oh, Anne says this is a great way to reach out, Melinda. Oh, good. Yeah, and I want to keep this reaching out. I want to keep this engagement going, which is why we're doing our live event. You know, we've been virtual for 14 years and have done it very successfully, and expanding into being together in person. There's just some things that can only be experienced, and I love deepening that learning and the application of it right there together. It's not going to be an event where I'm on stage, you're sitting in the office, you're sitting in the chairs, and I'm just you hear me, right? I'm not going to be giving you just information. We're going to be up, we're going to be moving, we're going to be interacting, we're going to be implementing, you're going to be getting results while we're there in those 3 days, and you'll leave with your business plan for 2019. So that's why I really want you there. And these trends, I want you to know these trends now as you go into next year so that you can pay attention to them. Okay, any questions on trend 2, where it's not just about getting the client making the sale, but it's about, hang on, I just dropped a piece of paper. There we go. It's about making sure that you are creating that optimal client experience as well. Any questions about that? And what I want to do before we go into trend 3, because we are covering quite a bit of information right now. I know some of you are popping in and out, and you'll come back and listen to this. And some of you are sticking with me, and I love that. Right now, I want to do some favorite frames. So a favorite frame is a nugget, a gem, a takeaway, something like if you were reading a book, you would highlight it. You're like, whoa, that was really good. Something that stood out for you. So what are your favorite frames so far from trend 1 and 2 that I've shared with you? Just type that in the comments below. I'd love to hear if this is something that's beneficial for you. If I know we've had a lot of comments going all along, and I want to know specifically what has stood out for you. So type in those favorite frames into the comments below. What stood out for you for trend 1? And remember, trend 1 is making sure you have smaller bite sizes that people can experience, not just take in information overload. And then trend 2, it's not just about getting the client making the sale, it's also about creating that optimal client experience after they say yes. So type in those favorite frames. I'd love to hear what are some of the notes you've been taking, and what are you going to apply in your business? What's standing out for you? I'd love to hear that from you. So type those in, and then we're going to move to trend number 3. And again, you're going to see how the trends kind of flow into each other. One is not more important than the other. One is not good or better or anything like that. And they're really in no particular order, but you'll see how they kind of start flowing together. So Sherry says, trend 1 favorite frame is making the marketing messages bite-sized as well as the content. Everything should be in bite-sized pieces. It's like when you have a holiday meal, right? Whether you celebrate Hanukkah or Christmas or Easter or a birthday or Thanksgiving or whatever your holiday is. Sometimes for us, it's a cookout on 4th of July or whatever that holiday meal is. Like all of your favorite dishes are there, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And you're like taking it in, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can eat another bite, right? We get stuffed and we're like, oh, we can't move. It weights us down in more ways than one. And so when we can have it in smaller bite-sized pieces, it's easier to digest. It's easier to consume, right? Renee says, speaking of smaller pieces, Renee says, smaller pieces of info will lead to greater, deeper learning. Absolutely. And, Renee, it's not just about greater, deeper learning. It's also, in addition to that, greater, deeper application and implementation, like better implementation, which just means better results, right? Sherry says, trend 2 favorite frame was the 5 onboarding messages to create. Awesome. I'm glad you got all those taken down. Brenda says, Brenda's favorite frame is smaller bite-sized pieces is a validation of what I've been experiencing. I just didn't know the science behind it. Awesome, right? When you know it, you're like, oh, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like you've got some strong intuition, Brenda. I love it. And now you've got some information that you can go and kind of put it up against what you've already been doing to see how can you fine tune it. Again, a small tweak to make a big breakthrough, right? And Sharon says, hey, Sharon. Sharon says bite-sized experiences. Love it. Beautiful. Okay, let's go to trend 3, shall we? Y'all ready? Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite trends. I love this trend because it's just super cool and fun. And I'm really glad that the rest of the world is catching on. Community is paramount. Community, 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 community. And this is true whether you're doing coaching and you're just offering coaching packages or programs or no matter how you package your services, community is paramount. Isolation is one of the biggest enemies of success. Whenever anybody, I don't care what kind of person you are, whenever somebody takes a step out of their comfort zone and they move in the direction of their dreams and desires, isolation is the enemy of progress and the enemy of success. It's why most people fail. What I love about the world we're living in is that isolation is going by the wayside. Women are speaking up. Groups are rallying and standing for things that are important and coming out by the masses. People are sharing what they believe in. It's it's contagious, right? Passion is contagious. The things that we stand for are contagious, and momentum and progress. It's easier with greater accountability, right? And introverts like me, we even don't mind putting ourselves out there and being visible when we are doing it for and with a community, right? And so the same is true in your business, right? Prospects and clients, they are expecting to be able to connect to other like-minded, like-spirited, highly committed people that are on the same journey of transformation that they're on. And that's really what this trend is about. It's about those like-minded, like-spirited people, like-committed people at that same level coming together. In the information age, the interesting thing about the information age is with the information age, you had some people that were kind of dipping in a little toe. You had some people that were wading around in the shallow end. You had some people that might get in up to their knees and they're like, yeah, no, I don't really care, whatever. And then you'd have people dive into the deep end because they really wanted to learn and get the results. Now what we're seeing is because community is paramount, everybody's bringing everybody along. And so everybody is at this, most everybody is at this same level of commitment. So you don't have people, there's not dead weight or toxic people or anything. You've got these amazing communities that you can be a part of, right? And without that sense of community, we heard it from Ryan earlier. It's wow, I was left on my own to figure it out, right? Isolation kicks right in. And when isolation kicks in is what we heard earlier as well. It's the self-doubt starts, doubting my investment, doubting myself. Can I even do this? The limiting beliefs come up. The villains are there. Right? Without that sense of community, all of this just gets louder and bigger, right? And the other interesting thing that we've seen with this trend is without that sense of community, it's up to you to carry that weight with your clients. Now, I know in coaching, we don't do our work for our clients, but if you don't have a sense of community, you are the one, only you, holding that container for that client. When you have a sense of community, you're spreading that and sharing out, and everybody's holding the container for everybody else. So you don't become the bottleneck, the burden. It doesn't feel like such a big burden. And what we're noticing about this trend is without community, people are not able to work with more clients. There seems to be this cap that gets put on because it's up to the coach to really do the work with each and every person. But when there's this sense of community, with that sense of community, everybody, people are sharing celebrations, there's acknowledgments, other people are asking questions, people are giving evidence of what's happening, and there's this sense of community and interconnectedness that's going on, so that it helps bring other people along. And Ryan, you just made an interesting comment. Ryan says, much of the time I still feel left out, even within a community. Somehow the connections are hard to form. And Ryan, I am going to talk about, am I going to talk about it in this one? Oh yes, in this one. Sit tight, Ryan, because I'm going to tell you why that might be happening and what to do about it. So when you create your community, you make sure it's easy for those connections easier for those connections to take shape. Okay, so sit tight and get your pencil ready because I'm going to be sharing this with you in just a second. But when you create I call it a safe and sacred community, right? We've got to have that safe and sacred container. When you create that for your prospects or for your clients and your programs, you take a lot of that weight off your shoulders, right? You share it with that group. Everybody is committed to everybody. And it doesn't matter the group. Like I said earlier, you could be in a Facebook group. It might just be a thread on WhatsApp, I'm in a group of there's about 40 of us on a WhatsApp thread, and that's where our community lives. It could be in a Yahoo group that's in emails back and forth. It could be, maybe you meet in person once a month or once a week or whatever that is. So it doesn't matter the structure of the community, just that it exists, right? And when you can provide that, you free yourself up, because there's this interesting dynamic between each other where they're helping and supporting each other. Okay. So what I want to share with you right now, because community is so important. Oh, Anne asks, if you have a group, a cadre of one-on-one clients, does it make sense to create a community for all clients? Does it sacrifice confidentiality? I believe that community is paramount. And I believe we're seeing a shift in our industry, right? Where it used to be one-on-one coaching. Keep all of your, like this coaching client should know about this coaching client, and this should know about this coach. And you kept everybody separate. And what we're seeing is that, yes, even if you just work with one-on-one clients, when you create a community, they're all sharing kind of that larger 50,000 foot perspective journey of transformation. They're all struggling with very similar challenges, and they're all wanting very similar results. And when you can bring them together in a community, now what you're not going to do is you're not going to say, yo, Susie, you know what I learned with Joe over here in my coaching session? I don't know, but like, you're not going to share the details. That would sacrifice confidentiality. But you will be able to connect them so they can connect with each other, because they can share whatever part of their story they want to with each other. So just because somebody is coaching with you doesn't mean other people don't have to know about it, right? It's a privilege, it's an honor. And when you can connect them together, they can leverage the learning and the momentum and the results together. Okay. So, Anne, that's a great question. And what we're seeing in this trend is that even with one-on-one clients, more communities are being created. Okay. Ryan says, I see the teacher's pet getting all of the attention and all the outsiders getting little love. I guess it's because the leaders like the testimonials or something, just what I've seen. Ryan, stick to the 7 things that I'm about to share with you. And Ryan says, some groups are very welcoming. I would love to create a community where all the outcasts finally feel at home. So get your pencil ready, or crown. I think you said you use a crown, because I'm going to give you a lot of good information here in just a second. And Jackie says, would love to hear more about possible community structures. All right, everybody, get your crowns ready, get your pencils ready, because here's the 7 steps to creating an intentional and engaged community where all the outcasts finally feel at home. I'm going to add that little note, Ryan, because I love it. Hang on, I got to write that down. Where I won't steal it, I'm just going to use it for here, but it's really Ryan's tagline. And Ryan, I would recommend that you use that tagline in your business, where all the outcasts, and you could even say, Ryan, you could have some fun with it. You could say where all the outcasts like me feel at home. And I'll talk more about that in just a second. Okay, so the first one is you've got to define a shared passion that is the reason for your community. Now, this is going to be pretty obvious, but you can't skip this step, right? So you have to have that overarching passion, right? Seth Godin's book, it's up there on the shelf, Tribes. If y'all have not read that book, it's an awesome little book. Hang on, I'm going to get it for you. I should have had it ready, but it's just this awesome little book. You can see how much I love it. I have all these tabs in it. It's a little short read. You'll probably read it in one setting. But in his book, Tribes, he talks about communities are created for the passion, that calling, that bigger purpose that people rally behind. Right now, your communities are going to be created because of the transformation that you're providing to people. Like, that's really going to be the reason that people are rallying. So, you know, maybe your community and the work that you do with your clients is all about women reclaiming their power. Maybe it's all about sacred leadership. Maybe it's around entrepreneurs. Like one of ours is around entrepreneurs creating a business and a lifestyle beyond their wildest dreams. Maybe your passion and the work you do with your clients is about making sure artists love the work they do and get paid generously to do so. Whatever, like, so the work, the transformation that you do is probably going to be the overarching reason, and that shared passion that everybody's coming together because they're all committed to that same journey, right? So that's number one. It doesn't matter what that passion is, but you got to have that shared passion. And your coaching business, the transformation you help clients get, is most likely going to be that. Okay, rule number 2, step number 2, whatever, structure number 2. Post house rules. And you can call them whatever you want. We call them house rules, so that everybody knows how to show up and participate fully and freely within the structure of what's expected. There's nothing more harming. Well, there probably is a few things more harming, but when people don't know how to show up, or when you've got, Joan is showing up one way, Sally is showing up a different way, Tom's participating, when it's all sporadic and people don't know how to show up, people don't show up, or people feel hesitant to show up. Right? So you're the leader of the group, and it doesn't matter what your house rules are. They just have to be your rules, and you'll have to let people know exactly how you want them to show up. What is okay to do in your group, in your community? What's not okay? They've got to be really clear in that. Can people promote in your group? Can they share resources? Is it strictly for learning? Let them know what they can and cannot do to fully be involved. So for example, one of the communities I'm in, 0 about business. It's all about fun. It's about what we're doing. We're all leaders in our respective areas. So we all have very thriving businesses, but this particular community, it's all about what are we doing outside to make sure we're creating an incredible lifestyle, right? And that's it. So there's no selling, there's no promoting, there's nothing like that happens there. Another community that I know of, they do allow promoting in their group, but only on Tuesdays. They have a fun tagline for it. So there's one day a week, everybody can promote, boom, there it all is. After that, no more promoting, only sharing, asking, connecting. That's it. So whatever your rules are, just make sure you post them and refer to them frequently, right? House rules. 3 and 4, they're actually 2 variations of the same thing. I like what Utley, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. Utley. Oh, Steve. Now that's an easy one to say. Sorry about that, Steve. Steve says, leverage a safe place to expand and share. Yeah, and that right there, a safe place. So number 3 is about creating safety. Safety. Consistent monitoring for appropriate activity, right? We had our house rules. Now we've got to monitor for appropriate activity and removal of inappropriate activity, right? Like Sherry says, spammers posting their offers. Ugh, only if it's not allowed. If it's allowed, great. If it's not, don't do it, right? So once you create your group, or maybe you get a team member or virtual assistant, or maybe you appoint a community leader, one of your clients that absolutely loves your work and adores you and wants to help you out. Somebody must consistently monitor the engagement. How's everything going? Are we doing okay? You have to, or the boundaries have to be protected for your members so they feel safe in being vulnerable. Because a lot of times what makes these communities awesome is people are asking hard questions where they're too embarrassed to ask anywhere else. They're sharing vulnerable things that are important to be shared, but they don't really have anywhere else to share them, right? And so they might be hesitant, but when you protect the boundaries, it's like, okay, this is a safe place, right? And so once you create that safe place through consistent monitoring, making sure, yep, everything's appropriate, and then removing what's not appropriate, the rest of your members of your community are going to be like, all right, this is a safe place for me. I can show up. Okay. And then you've got to, when you're, let me just say a little bit about this. When somebody, when you're protecting those boundaries, right? The moment somebody steps out of line, always assume goodwill. It's like the only safe assumption you can ever make. Always assume goodwill. And when you assume goodwill, right, maybe it's like, okay, maybe they didn't really understand the house rules. I'm going to assume that they intentionally did not completely just disobey the rules and how this works, right? So always assume goodwill. And if somebody posts something, like in our group in Coaching Lifestyle, people can't post their offer, right? There's no offers, just that we just made that rule. And so if somebody accidentally does it, we assume goodwill, we remove that post, and we contact that person immediately and say, hey, we noticed you made this post. Here's the link to the house rules. Here's why we removed the post. Please make sure you don't do it again. That's it. Super easy. Done. The second time they do it, they're out of the group. I don't care what the reason is. I don't care if they fell and hit their head and had amnesia. I might listen if that's the reason, but I doubt it. The second time they do it, they're out of the group. I got to protect the boundaries for the rest of the people in my community. And so they're gone. And I tell them that when somebody posts incorrectly, I'm like, hey, this is why we did this. We're removing your post. Here's the house rules. Please don't do it again. The next time it happens, we'll have to ask you to leave the group and we'll remove you. And then so they know. It's like, oh, that's clear communication, right? A toxic member can be the death of a group, and it can make people run and hide and not participate, right? So there's that. Number 4, it's also about creating safety. But this kind of safety is created through you. Ryan says, Mama Bear, you got that right. I'm protecting my peeps because I want the best for my peeps. Don't cross that line. And you shouldn't either. You should have your people's back at that fierce love kind of level. And assume goodwill because people, stuff happens. But yeah, Mama Bear is right. Okay, number 4, create safety. And you're going to do this creating safety through modeling through vulnerability and transparency. The more you're willing to open up and be vulnerable and transparent is the degree that your participants will, right? Your participation in the community is a must, right? And in that same book, Seth Godin's book, Tribes, he talks about leaders of these tribes, leaders of these communities are those people that are willing to step out because they have the courage to go first, right? And you all are courageous people or you wouldn't have your own business because that is a no joke kind of thing, right? And so we're the ones willing to go first and we lead by example because as we allow our light to shine, we give others permission to do the same. And so when you can lead by example, you are helping them to know how to share those vulnerable, transparent, hard, hesitant, scary questions to ask and things to share, right? So make sure you're sharing your celebrations. Make sure you're sharing your failures and your research and what you'll do different. Make sure you share when you're a hot mess. Make sure you share when you're on your game. Make sure you share your brags and your swamps and everything in between. Because when you do that, that is where commitment happens. And that is where engagement happens. And that's where people learn how to be involved in a community. Okay. Sharon just said, Sharon, thank you. You're such perfect timing. I wanted a step-by-step for creating a closed, engaging, safe Facebook group for my mastermind. You're wonderful. Sharon, I hope you're taking great notes because that's step 4 of 7. I've got a few more for you. Ready? All right, let's go. Okay. The next one is number 5. We're on step 5 of the 7 steps to create an intentional and engaged community where all outcasts like me are at home. Number 5 is steady prompting for how participants should engage. So many people, and Brian, I don't know if this is your experience when you're like, I don't like being in some of those groups, or they're not fun. So many people, it's like, oh, approve, you're in the group, and then you never hear from them again. You're like, well, what kind of group is this? And so steady prompting from you or your team on how they should engage, right? So for example, if you're offering a program, like in our boot camp program, right? Some of you have gone through boot camp, you'll know this. At the end of module, or no, not even module 1, at the end of the pre-work that we have you do in the onboarding experience, you have to answer a question, and you're going to be either option 1, 2, or 3. And one of the things that I say is, hey, go to the Facebook group and let everybody know, are you 1, 2, or 3? So they're like, oh, great. Facebook group, I'm 1. And then all the ones are like, oh my gosh, me too. That's me. I'm in that same boat. And then you start connecting, right? So I prompted them at the end of an exercise in the program. It's not just do the exercise, because I could have just said, identify, are you 1, 2, or 3? That would have been great because they would have done it, and they would have known that for themselves. So that's a good level of engagement. But I took it to the next level. I'm like, okay, now that you know that, go to the Facebook group. I gave them a link. Go to the Facebook group and tell everybody, which one are you? Now I created engagement. So there's great learning with engagement. See how that works? So on a regular basis, you should prompt your people with how you want them to engage, right? People really want to, but they're so busy and they're in so much information overload, they just don't have the time or don't take the time to think, okay, how should I engage in this group? What should I do? What would be a great thing to post? Should I post that? Maybe I don't know. We don't even want that to happen. So just clear direction and a prompting for what to post. The more engaged your prospects are in the community, the more likely, so prospects, let's talk about prospects. If you create a group for prospects, the more engaged your prospects are there, the more likely they are to become buyers because you're nurturing them. You're creating relationships with them. And if they like what you have, they're going to say yes. If they like just being there, they're going to be there. That's fine. For your buyers, when you create a community of your clients, your one-on-one coaching clients, the people in your programs or mastermind or whatever, the more likely they are to make better progress, to get faster results, to get bigger results, and to refer more people, right? So it just works all the way around. Marketing becomes easier for you. Your clients are getting better results because you've got this piece of engagement. Okay. Number 6, we're on number 6. So while you want to prompt them with how to be engaged and you need to be involved in the community, what we're noticing is that sporadic commenting by you in various threads, right? That's number 6, sporadic commenting. Don't be predictable. The moment you become predictable in your community, the moment you become normal. The moment you become normal is the moment you drop into just all the white noise with all the rest of the information that's out there in that world. So you don't want to be predictable in how you're posting inside your group, okay? What you do want to do is you've got to be engaged, right? You've got to be a part of that. And you want to make sure that you are responding kind of in a sporadic, random, you're answering a post here, you're commenting on something there, you're liking this one or that one, but it's not consistent. You're not doing it to everything at every time for everyone, okay? And the reason is this, because when you do show up, then it's like a surprise and delay. It's like, oh my gosh, Melinda just posted. Holy cow, there's Ryan. What did he have to say? And it becomes this surprise and this delight, and it creates anticipation. Okay, so don't become the norm, right? Don't be predictable. Be sporadic, but be consistent. There's a distinction there, right? Consistent but sporadic. Okay, number 7. This is the only time you can break rule number 6. So I just told you to be sporadic. The one time that you can have a predictable pattern is inside your group if you do member spotlights. So that's one thing that I would recommend doing is a member spotlight. You could do it sporadically. You might pick every Friday to end your week. You might kick your week off on Mondays, and you might spotlight a member or a few members for some successes that you have seen and observed that they've experienced. Now, the steadiness, like let's say every Friday you do a member spotlight, that's steady. That becomes norm. But what's not normal is who you're spotlighting. And so it's like that creates anticipation. It's like, I wonder who she's going to pick. Who's she going to spotlight? Am I going to be that person? And so it drives this beautiful competitive nature to say, okay, let me get some other things done. Maybe she'll notice this. And there's just this fun intrinsic competition that goes on, engaging people at another level. So number 7 is spotlighting your members, because people just want to be seen. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. And when you spotlight a member for something that they did, maybe it's a little tiny success, maybe it's a great big win that they had or something in between. But when you do that, they feel seen. So Ryan, number 7 is share frequent member spotlights. Share frequent member spotlights, right? Give the members in your community a shout out. And it might just be every Friday you give one member a spotlight. So if I'm in my Facebook group, like I just did this in our boot camp Facebook group, one of our members had just hit a significant milestone, and I did a Facebook Live inside that Facebook group, and I'm like, oh my gosh, boot camper spotlight! I just want to give a shout out to, and I said the person's name, I tagged them in the post. and I shared what the milestone that they had accomplished and why I admired that, right? And I did that for about 3 or 4 people. And I do that periodically for 3 or 4 different people every time. Just what am I noticing that's happening for them, okay? Got that, Ryan? So that's the 7th step. So those are the 7 steps to create an intentional, engaged community where all outcasts like me and Ryan feel at home. Renee just said, thanks so much for this piece. Creating a community is a 2019 goal of mine, and I didn't know how to do this for my one-on-one coaching clients. Well, you've got 7 steps to get you started, girl. And I want to give everybody a newbie tip and a pro tip about this. So for those of you like Sherry, you had mentioned how you're a newbie. Renee, you're talking about how this is a goal for you. The newbie step is to start a private Facebook group. If it's for your one-on-one clients, bring them together. If it's for a group, bring your group together and follow these 7 steps. Whether it's a group of 5 people, 55 people, 500 people, 5,000 people. When you've got where 2 or more people are gathered, like awesome things happen, right? And so bring those people together and it will begin to pick up steam. But follow, so the newbie tip is to create the Facebook group and follow these 7 steps, okay? And then the pro tip that I want to share with you. Now, this is really advanced. So if you've been doing Facebook groups for a while, listen up. If you haven't, make a note of it, but like highlight this in blue and say, pro tip, come back later. Okay. I don't want you to get overwhelmed, but I do want to share the pro tip. And the pro tip is to create a community plan. And by that, I mean this. For those of you that have been offering a private Facebook group as a community that runs alongside your program. So I'll use us as an example. We've got our bootcamp program and we've got a Facebook group inside of it. We have our higher end coaching business accelerator program, and we've got a separate Facebook group that coincides with it, right? The members of bootcamp are in the bootcamp Facebook group. The members of our accelerator program are in the accelerator Facebook group. So a community plan would be a plan that you create in advance for exactly what promptings you're going to put, what posts you're going to share, the things that you're going to do in your community as you're releasing module 1 and as you're releasing each module, what is happening inside your Facebook group at the same time. So it's not just a content plan, but it's a community plan in parallel, okay? And with this community plan, like it should run in parallel with the content you're offering. This is really ideal, especially if you offer programs where you've got groups of people where you might have 30 or 40 or 100 or 400 or 1,000 people going through a program at once. And that community plan should enhance the learning that you're providing in your content and materials. It should help people eliminate obstacles. It should help them enhance the new skills and mindset that you're teaching. So that's a pro tip when it comes to community. Let's see. Ryan asks number 5. Number 5 is steady prompting for how participants should engage in the group. So let me just go back. I'm going to repeat all 5 steps again. So get your list ready, everybody. So step number 1, define a shared passion. The work you do in your business is really going to be your defined passion, but you want to make sure you've got that clear. The second one is to post house rules, so people know exactly how to show up, what to do and what not to do to participate fully. The third one is create safety through consistent monitoring for appropriate activity. Create safety through consistent monitoring for appropriate activity and removal of inappropriate activity. Step 4, create safety, modeling through your own vulnerability and transparency, sharing your celebrations, sharing you as a hot mess, sharing your research and do differentlys, right? So you're modeling through vulnerability and transparency. That's number 4. Number 5 is steady prompting for how participants should engage in the group, prompting them what you want them to post and when you want them to post it. Number 6, sporadic commenting by you. Don't be predictable. And number 7, share frequent member spotlights. Let people know that you're watching and that you've got your eyes on them and that you've got their back. Okay, so those are the 7 steps. Let's see here. Sherry says, let's hang on. Ooh, this is a big one. Steady prompting. Number 5. Oh, thanks, Sherry. You already had told Ryan what it was. So Ryan, you can just copy and paste right from the comment. There you go. Ross asks, how many clients do you need in a Facebook group to reach critical mass? You're not looking for critical mass. You're looking for engagement, right? So engagement is way more important than critical mass. With this trend, with community as paramount and creating the experience and the engagement that people are going to have, that's what's more important, Ross. And so having the most people that you can be involved, be engaged, interacting and connecting, that's what you want to put your attention on, okay? If you have other questions about this, you can post those questions below. Just like with the others, we're going to hint at this at the live event. This is actually one of the trends we're not going to get into at the live event so much, because everything about the live event is making sure you have your foundation in place for the marketing, for your lead magnets and list building, so that you can get out there confidently, so you can find those prospects and grow your list. Everything at the live event is really about making sure you're getting paid, making sure you feel confident in those enrollment conversations, making sure that you feel good about converting prospects to paying clients and getting them to that point of yes, and then creating that onboarding and that optimal client experience. Like, that's everything at the live event. We're focusing on that solid core foundation and the small tweaks that in your coaching business that can lead to big results. And then we're going to touch on this piece because it is so important in the community. But really what you're going to do is you're going to be living this trend in person at the event. So we get together in February at Lifestyle Live, and you'll see the link there on the screen, coachesconsole.com/live. We're going to be making sure that everything's in place so you are in a spot where you can create this and where you do have clients that you can bring into your community, that you do bring into your groups. So we're going to cover that. And right now, for just a short time longer, we've got an early bird special where you get a significant savings on the price of your ticket to Lifestyle Live. When you click on that link or go to that link, just type in coachesconsole.com/live. It'll give you the details. It'll give you the savings, and the deadline is right around the corner, so that making sure that you grab that ticket so that we can come together and really live and learn these trends, and even more learning when I can get together with you in person. And we're going to learn together. We're going to do together. We're going to be implementing while we're at the live event, so that you can really feel confident about putting yourself out there, feel confident about having enrollment conversations that are graceful, that are effortless, that lead to yeses, so that you can have that onboarding experience where clients are getting those results, and that you're taking the lid off of yourself, so that you're working with as many clients as you want to be working with, and having the impact that you want to be making. So head over to coachesconsole.com/live. And make sure you claim your ticket and get a hold of that early bird special before the pricing goes up. And you can tell your friends. You can give them that same link, and we'll extend that early bird pricing onto them as well. So just give them, if you know other coaches that want to join you because you're buddies and building your business together or whatnot, or you've got other colleagues that maybe you went to coaching school with or through coach training, let them know about it. And we'll all have fun in Atlanta together. So coachesconsole.com/live. Okay. Jackie says, what is the best way to introduce new clients to private group members? The best way is to have them introduce themselves. I think I understand your question, Jackie. So if, let's say you're one of my private clients, and I've got a private Facebook group just for my private coaching clients. One of the first things I'm going to ask you to do is go get connected. Remember that onboarding message that we shared in the previous trend? I'm going to ask you to go get connected. And I'm going to be specific in how I ask. And I'm going to share something with you, Jackie, that says, go ahead. Here's the link to our private Facebook group. It's only for us members. So I'm going to remind you that it's secured. I'm going to remind you that it's private. I'm going to remind you that it's only like-minded, like-spirited, like-committed people on the journey. I'm going to remind you that it's sacred and confidential in there. And then I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and in our case, what your business is about, and something unique that a lot of people don't know about you. That's it. And so they will introduce themselves. It's a way to get them engaged right away. And so that's it. So it's an easy way to do that. Let's see. Ryan says, in response to that, Ryan says, I suggest not introducing each member one post at a time, especially when there's 500. Yeah, we've got 5,000 members in our group now. But people just, when they come in, we prompt them and they go introduce themselves. So they can do it. And then people can connect and start making relationships. Sherry says, however, that's exactly the way to introduce members in a small, intimate group. I've also seen people introduce new members by tagging them in a weekly post. Yeah, that's that shout out. We do something like that. It's like in our boot camp group, for example. 1 year we had 200 people in our boot camp. Another year we had 400 or 100. There's like a larger group that's coming in all at once. And as they say yes, we just have a welcome banner that says welcome, and we might post 5, 6, 7 names and just tag their name in it, but then we prompt them to go introduce themselves. Yep. So a lot of it's going to depend on the size of group that you have and the way that you do that. Kathy asks, can you give me number 5 again? Yep. And you can also see 2, 3 comments below, Kathy. Sherry has it all typed out for you. So you can copy and paste that. But also number 5 is steady prompting. For how you want them to engage. So prompting them with what you want them to go post on the group. Okay? All right, so what are some of your favorite frames from this? This was a little more involved, so I just want to take a few moments to digest. I'm going to get some water here, so because we've got 3 more trends to go. But this one was a deep, rich one because it's so important. When you have a great community, it really makes all the difference in your marketing. It makes all the difference in the results that your clients are getting. It makes a difference in how you show up as a coach. It helps you to be a better coach. And so it just impacts so many parts of your business. But go ahead and share, what are your favorite frames? What are those nuggets? What are those takeaways when it comes to community? Post those in. Type those. And we heard from some people, from Sharon and from Renee, I think it was, that their goal for this coming year was to create a group for their program or for their mastermind. So what are some of those nuggets and takeaways and helpful tips that landed with you? So head there. And then we're going to move into number 4. And number 4, I've actually been alluding to trend number 4. We're going to go to that in just a moment. But we are in an interesting space because we are coaches. It makes trend number 4 way easier. All right, so no favorite frames. All right, no, Stephanie, nobody liked that section. All right, we'll keep going. Type in your favorite frames for trend number 3, but I am going to go ahead and move to trend number 4. Right now, everybody's like, no, I'm still typing, but I can't write. She's about to go. Don't do it. All right, we're going to give you just another moment. I'm going to take some more water, and then we'll go to trend number 4. And remember, if you want more learning like this, so that you can really make those small tweaks in your coaching business to get those big breakthroughs, head over to coachesconsole.com/live and claim your ticket. Get your ticket. Right now, we've got the early bird pricing that's going on, so you can get that at a significant savings. You can give that same link to your friends. They can get that same savings because we're all going to come together and have a phenomenal time experiencing all of this and implementing it all together at the live event. All right, let's move to trend number 4. All right, trend number 4 is simultaneous implementation. For the longest time, it was just about sharing the strategies, right? If you offer programs, it was just about sharing the strategies, like what the strategy is and why it's important, and even giving you the steps of how to implement it, right? And so that was enough. because it was the information age. People just wanted to consume that information. But it has to be more than that right now. It can no longer be just about information or even just great coaching, because it used to just be about show up for the coaching session, let me be present, whatever comes up, make sure they have a light bulb aha moment, and off we go, we're done. And while great coaching is amazing, that too is no longer enough. This is a trend that we're seeing, and how we're seeing, while coaching as a skill is still phenomenal, the coaching industry is still growing. That's one of the beautiful things about this industry that I've been witnessing over the past 14 years doing this. Anybody can teach strategies. Anybody can share those strategies for effective results on any topic, on any niche. So that makes it super easy to get into this industry, right? And then as you take your coach training and you learn the skills of coaching, especially through leveraging technology, it can be so easy and quick to implement and start your business. The flip side of that is, because even with coaching growing as an industry, it's still on the rise. Because anybody can teach anything on any topic in any niche, there is this saturation of information in this industry that we're in. So it's no longer enough that you just teach great strategies or provide great coaching. That has now become the good enough mark. And what people are expecting is more than that. And they're expecting to be able to take that learning and simultaneously implement it, right? The way that we describe this is we're going to learn it together and we're going to do it together. Like, those two things must exist. We really noticed this trend picking up speed last year. And it's just continuing to be on the upswing. And this is going to be something in 2019 and even probably into 2020 that we're going to see this continue to pick up speed. You've got to not just provide great coaching or not just provide great content. You also have to make sure that you provide the support and the accountability so that they can implement it for immediate results. People want to see immediate results in the process of taking action while they're working with you in their coaching or while they're taking a program with you, okay? And again, you see how this ties back to experience, right? It's all folding. They're all kind of blending into each other, kind of different variations on a theme. They've got to experience, not just sit back and learn and then put the book on the shelf, but learn, take it in, have that coaching that shifts my mindset and changes my perspective, and put it into action, right? So we've got to have that. Let me share. I want to share a couple of strategies, a couple of scenarios with you, just to kind of demonstrate this. Maybe this, I think this might help. Hopefully this helps. So imagine that there is a coach, and they offer a 6-week program. It doesn't matter. They offer a program, and their whole business is teaching you how to get clients through speaking on stages, right? Speaking is a great marketing strategy, and there's a coach, and their whole thing is all about teaching you about how to be a great speaker. And when you sign up for this particular coach's program, you have access to these modules, and they've got the content there, and you go through the content, so you now have the knowledge of what you need to know and why it's important. And they've even outlined the steps. At each module, here's the steps you need to take in order so you can implement it. And that's it. That's pretty good, actually. And what happens at the end of that training? Right? At the end of that training, if you go through and you get the knowledge of what I need to know to be a great speaker, why it's important to know this, and even the steps, what do I got to do? They're still left, that client is still left having to go implement it. They haven't implemented it yet. They've learned it, they know it, but they haven't implemented it yet. In contrast to that, there's a different coach. Let's call them Coach XYZ. And this coach also teaches how to build your business through speaking, right? And in their program, you go through their program, and they teach what you need to know to be a great speaker, They give you why it's important. They even give you all the how-tos. Every how-to is super crystal clear. And at this program, when they give you the first how-to, you actually implement it. You record that piece of your presentation that you're going to give as a speaker. Maybe it's a 2-minute segment. You submit that to the instructor. They review it and give you immediate feedback. You haven't even gone to module 2 yet, and you're already submitting work. And they're giving you real feedback. And then you submit the final version of that one little piece of your presentation. And then you go to module 2 and you learn a little bit more about what you need to know. You learn why it's important. And you record that little segment of your presentation. And then you submit it for feedback. So all along the way, you're recording, you're getting feedback, and you're building your presentation. So by the end of the program, you've actually already recorded your entire presentation. You're not left alone to go figure it out by yourself. Can you see the distinction between good and exceptional? And that's what we're talking about here. That's that simultaneous implementation. So I want to break this into concrete steps, both for newbies, and I want to give you a newbie tip and a pro tip. So the newbie tip, for those newbies out there, when it comes to making sure you're paying attention to simultaneous implementation, that's kind of a mouthful. For each strategy that you share, whether it's in your one-on-one coaching or if you do a program, for each strategy that you share, not only give them a piece of homework to implement, but also give them a resource that you have researched and proven to be effective so that they know exactly where to go to implement, and give them that list of recommended resources. Okay? You have researched those resources, they are proven, they get great results, and you're going to share them with your clients. So that's a newbie step on how you can do this. Now, the pro tip is to actually integrate a technology that's going to help them implement. Or if you don't have a technology, then find somebody who does and partner with them. So if in this scenario, right, if the person is teaching how to be a great speaker, but they don't know anything about videos, maybe they bring a videographer in to give guidance on how to shoot the video, how to actually implement the creating of the video so that it can be submitted for feedback, right? So if you can't leverage technology or whatever that resource is, bring that person who does have that, bring them into your training as a guest presenter to share with them step by step, click by click, what they need to do to actually implement it. Right, so there's the pro tip for you, is to integrate that technology. I just want to do a quick check-in. Type in the comments. Can you still hear me? I noticed that I was a little glitchy. I want to make sure that everything is good and y'all are hearing me, that we still have a good, strong connection. So just type in the comments, yes, all good. Hopefully you can hear me. If you don't type it in, maybe I know you won't hear me. So hang on one second. Let me just make sure that we are still here. Hold on one second. Hang on. All right, hang on. I think I'm coming back. Hold on one second. Hang on. All right, let me just check in now. I think we just had a little technology glitch. If you can hear me in the comments, just type yes. You can just type the word yes. If you can hear me, if you're seeing me, or am I still frozen? Let's just see where we are on that one. No, I don't think we've got... All right, Lori, if you are listening in, go ahead and type yes in the comments, and let's see if we can get back together. Hang on. I don't want to share any more great information until y'all can hear me. All right, I think we're back. Hang on. Connection's good. Okay, some people are hearing me, some people are not. Oh, good. There, now we're back. I think we're all good. I think we're good. We're good. We're good. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh my gosh. So all these comments just came in, like 1,000 comments just came in. Okay. So we're still good. You all can still hear me. We've got the thumbs up. We're going to keep going. I just want to make sure, did you all just hear the details for implementing simultaneous implementation? Oh, good. You never froze for me. Okay, great, 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 great. Well, thank you for sticking around as we get our little thing happening here. Strong connection, everything good, everything's awesome. It's such great information. We're like short-circuiting the waves. That's what's happening. Okay, good. Well, let's keep going here. So that is trend number 4 with the simultaneous implementation. And so it's important not just to give them the what, the why, and the how, but you've got to also make sure that they are implementing it. They've got to be implementing it. If you turn them loose and they have not implemented, they're likely not going to implement. So just remember that, and you'll be good to go. All right. Any questions about trend number 4, which is simultaneous implementation, or as I describe it, learn and do. They've got to coexist. You got to learn it and you got to do it at the same time. One of the cool things that happened last year, I think this is the coolest example of this. When we were at the live event last year, one of the things that we were talking about and putting yourself out there in marketing was like the 5-day challenges. And we were also talking about Facebook Lives. And one of the gals that was there, she so wanted to do Facebook Lives, but she was so nervous to do them. And she understood why she should do them. She understood what she should do, but she was like, I just don't know how to do it. So I came off the stage and I grabbed my phone. Actually, no, I grabbed her phone. It was her phone. I grabbed her phone and I had her open up her Facebook page, and she typed a short little thing, and we both held it up, and I showed her what button to hit, and she clicked the button, and we said it was like a 30-second little thing. It was super short, maybe not even 30 seconds. And then we quickly hit the end button. And then she freaked out in awesomeness because she just made her Facebook Live. And she's like, oh my gosh, I know how to do it. I'm done. I got this. And then she's been doing Facebook Lives ever since, right? And so it's just that implementation. And once we do that, boom, we're off to the races. And so will your clients be as well. So that's what number 4, and that's the power of number 4, is when you've got that. Okay. All right. So we're going to go into trend number 5. Now, we are a good chunk into this. I see a lot of you are still here. Oh, Lori says that was the best thing ever when you did that live with her. Yeah, Lori, you were there. Oh my gosh, there was people in the room. We were crying. There was laughter. There was excitement. There was high fives. There was hugs. And then people were lined up out the door so they could do a Facebook Live with her. And it was contagious, and it just kept going. So anyway, so that's the power of that. And I hope that you all, that I get to see you and meet you, and that we get to have those kind of interactions together. Whatever that's going to be for you, I can't wait to find out what that moment's going to be for you when we're at the live event together. And let's put that up there really quick before I go into trend 5. We are doing that live event again in February. It's February 11, 12, and 13 in Atlanta. We're going to come together for 3 days where you can learn those small tweaks in your coaching business that are going to lead to those big breakthroughs. Because we want you to have the business beyond your wildest dreams, so you can live the lifestyle beyond your wildest dreams, because that's why we're doing this. We're doing it not only for our clients and the impact, but also for our own lifestyles and the kind of lives that we want to have for ourselves and our families. And that's what we're going to be doing. So when you go to coachesconsole.com/live, remember, we've just got a short amount of time. The early bird pricing is going to go away. Right now, you get a significant savings on the ticket. It's my little gift, a little holiday cheer from me to you during this holiday season. So you'll get that savings on your ticket, and we're going to have a lot of fun rocking your business. That is for sure. All right, let's go to trend 5. Got those crowns and pencils ready? Okay, trend number 5 is when you're creating packages. Oh, wait, hang on. Brenda says implementation is the glue that makes learning stick. We're going to borrow that one, Brenda. Implementation is the glue that makes learning stick. It is. And it's a thing that leads to results, right? And, one of the things that these trends have in common is that this is for those of us who really care about our clients getting results. And I never want you to lose sight of that piece, because the more you can help your clients get the results, the easier your marketing becomes, the easier it is to put yourself out there, the more fun your business is, right? And that's what this is all about. It's about the glue that makes learning stick, and it's about your clients getting results and having that awesome experience that's tangible inside their body, right? Okay, trend number 5. Let's head to that. When creating packages, content for your program, or even experiences that you want your clients to have, and prospects, you must weave coaching throughout let's say you're creating that program, that training program. Maybe it's a boot camp, maybe it's a 10-week course, something like that. Whenever you're creating your packages or your content or your experiences, your events, you've got to weave coaching for continued progress and momentum, right? So this is all about leveraging coaching in so many different ways, right? And the essence behind this trend is not anything new. It's not a new trend. We're just seeing the evolution of this trend come out of it. But the essence behind this trend is that 20% of your client's success is going to be because of the strategies that you share, the tips that you offer, the insight that you provide, the guidance and wisdom that you give to your clients, right? 20% is going to become because of that. 80% mindset, 80% of success. In fact, I've had some interesting discussions with people. Some people will say that 90% of success comes from mindset. And the beautiful thing by us being coaches in this world is that we already have this inherent skill to help people get out of their own way. That's the way I describe it, right? They get out of their own way, and we take them back to their mindset or their perspective, getting them unstuck from something, having them move forward into a different mindset or different perspective. And so when we combine content with strategies and coaching, when we bring all of that together, your clients, they're going to have that level of accountability and that level of support. You layer in community and experience, and it's just results, transformation, impact. And so we want to weave coaching through everything that we do. And, there's 4 levels of coaching that I want you to always be paying attention to. Again, this in itself is not new material. It's just the way this is taking shape is the trend that's happening. And so there's 4 levels of coaching that you can integrate into any content. So this really is more for those of you that are creating programs or want to do group coaching programs that have that component of content that you're going to actually teach. Maybe it's a membership site that you're creating or something like that, right? So there's 4 levels of coaching that you can integrate into your content, into your material. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't always include these 4. I'm going to talk about what the 4 are, and then we're going to talk about when they're appropriate, when they're not appropriate, and what to do with them. So the first level of coaching, which most of us often overlook, is this thing called self-coaching. You want to make sure that you're sharing a framework or a structure for your clients so that they can identify their own stuck spots. It's not up to you as the coach to always do it. They can be alerted. It's like, oh, red flag. This is a stuck spot. This is a trigger for me. This is a villain coming up, right? So for those of you that have gone through boot camp, you all know that we have a framework, villains and superpowers. We've created these characters, the villains and the superpowers, and we have a certain methodology that we have built and created where our clients and the folks in our groups and our communities, they can identify, they can call themselves out on their villains and their limiting beliefs and their triggers and stuck spots, and they can also reach for their superpowers for how they want to be showing up, the way they want to be putting themselves out there. And so there's this level of self-coaching that you can integrate so clients are identifying things on their own. This is where, you know, that old adage, give a man a fish versus teach a man to fish. This is where you teach them to fish, right? We don't want them to become dependent on us for transformation. We're the guide in it, but ultimately we want them to be empowered to identify it themselves, okay? So there's that level of self-coaching, and then there's online coaching, right? And online coaching, I refer to this a lot as just-in-time coaching. So imagine you're working with a coach, because you should never leave home without a coach or a community. They should always be two things in your back pocket. Imagine you're working with your coach, right? And let's say, like with my coach, I have 2 sessions a month with him. And so it might be 2 weeks before I talk to my coach next. But I just bumped into a big challenge, right? And so with online coaching, I may not be able to get on the phone with him and have a full-blown coaching session, but I've hit a challenge, and so I can go online and I can share this stuck spot, and he can provide some initial guidance or a coaching question that can make sure I don't get stuck. Or the opposite is true. Maybe I just had I did just have my coaching session with my coach 2 days ago, yesterday actually. And let's say that tomorrow I have this ginormous celebration that I just hit this mega milestone. I don't want to wait 2 weeks to share it with my coach. So I'm going to get on there and I'm going to share it with my coach so we can share in the celebrations, and I can share those stuck spots so that we can keep my progress, my forward momentum going. So that's online coaching, right? It's that little snippet that just keeps me moving forward. For those of you that are Coaches Console users, we have that feature, the client log. So when your clients are in your private client portal, they can go and they can make a post in their client log. So there's an easy way for you to provide that online coaching through that client log, right? And so that's an example of what I'm talking about, that online coaching. You could accomplish that. Maybe you use Voxer, texting, email. Don't do email. It's not safe. It's not secure. It's not dependable. But that's a great way to use and leverage that. And yes, Sherry, I'm saying stuck. Like I got stuck in something, stuck in the mud, spots. I hit an obstacle. I've hit a challenge. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's online coaching. The next level of coaching is group coaching, where you bring people together that are facing similar challenges and wanting similar results, and you bring them together in a group setting, right? What I love about group coaching is people know they're not alone. It's like, oh, I'm not a weirdo. I am. There are other people like me. That's so awesome. And then they can rally together in their sameness. And the other thing I love about group coaching is that, let's say you've got a group and maybe there's 8 people in your group coaching. And one of your participants asks a question. And a second participant, that question, it never dawned on them that would be a situation that they would need to look into. And it was never a question on their radar. But because the first participant asked it, that other participant got so much value and wisdom that they would never have gotten otherwise, because they would never have known to ask the question because it wasn't a thing for them. But because somebody else in the group asked it, now the other participants are getting such great value. When you can witness somebody else's journey, and when you can be witnessed by somebody else, there's powerful growth that can happen there, right? So I love group coaching for that aspect. And then I see a couple questions coming in. We'll get to those in a second. Then the fourth level of coaching is private coaching, just one-on-one, because there's sometimes where I don't want to share my coach with anybody because I want my coach's attention on me and my specific unique situation, and it's only about me, right? And that's super powerful. It's that concentrated support. It's that concentrated implementation. It's that concentrated accountability. So those are the 4 levels of coaching. Anita asked the question, when I'm talking about online coaching, What did you say to use for online other than email? So one of the things that I said, Anita, was if you're a Coaches Console user, the client log is an excellent way. It's secured, it's confidential, it's reliable and dependable, and easy to access, whether it's on a computer or a laptop, mobile device, whatever. So the clients can submit a posting inside the secured client log. But it also texting, right? Like, let's say you're my client. I am not going to let you text me, but I'll just use this as an example. I might give you my cell phone number and say, hey, if you have any questions, shoot me a text. I'm happy to answer anything at any time. So I might give you access to me like that. Voxer with a V. Voxer, V as in Victor, VOXER. It's an app. It's like a walkie-talkie app, right? And so that could be another one. It's like a walkie-talkie app. I don't have to give out my cell phone number. We can connect through there. That's another great way to do it. WhatsApp is another. You could create a group chat there. Just don't use email. Absolutely don't use email. It's not secure. It's not confidential. It's not reliable, not dependable. It's just no fun for anybody at all. So that's what I said. And then Lori just made the comments, love, love, love using my client log to interact with my clients, and they love it too. Yeah. Anita says, the higher the level, the higher the fee. And that's exactly what I'm getting ready to say. This is the tip that I want to share with everybody. There's a time and place for these levels of coaching, okay? And with these levels of coaching, you want to make sure that you're using them in the appropriate ways. And Kathy just made a comment. Kathy just said, too much info, too long. Yeah, and we've designed it this way so that people can come and go. This is going to live in Facebook, Kathy. So whenever you're ready, you can pop back in and get the last trend, pop back in and get the others, so you can segment it out in bite-sized pieces. So we're going for the long haul, but you certainly don't have to. So just pop back into the Facebook group and get it whenever you need to, whenever you want to, because we got one more trend coming from you, so not to worry. Glad you were here, Kathy. So with this fifth trend and weaving coaching throughout, like if you're offering a do-it-yourself, like a home study program, you'll never have online coaching. You wouldn't offer group coaching, and you wouldn't offer private coaching for just a simple, like a $97 or a $47 home study program. Not going to happen. You're giving away too much information. Like Anita just said, the higher the level, the higher the fee, right? Now, if you're offering a $2,000 program, maybe it's a training program, a content rich program, you might include online coaching, and you might even have group coaching built into that. That's appropriate to implement what they're learning. Certainly can do that. If you have a high-end mastermind, maybe a $15,000, $25,000, you might have a combination of all of those levels of coaching built in. The more access they have of you or your team, that means more commitment on your part. It's going to be more commitment on their part, and that's usually made in the form of investment, right? And so I call this a newbie tip. This is really a tip for everybody, even if you've been doing this a while. You want to make sure that the level of coaching that you provide is in direct proportion to the amount that your client is investing. They've got to match, right? You want to make sure that the cost of your services, what the client's investing, plus the level of coaching that they have access to, plus the transformation they get as a result, are in alignment with each other. If you're offering a $497 program, but they get 4 private coaching sessions with you, plus group coaching every Monday, and they have access to you online, you are out of whack. You are devaluing your services. People are not going to be committed because they're not going to take you seriously. This might all happen at a subconscious level, but they've got to have alignment there, okay? And then the pro tip is that coaching is something that you want to weave in even into your marketing, into your onboarding, and into the delivery of your services, right? Coaching is something that you always want to be delivering, okay? So make sure that you are weaving it into everything that you've got going on, okay? So that's trend number 5, is make sure that you're, and I know this kind of sounds silly because we're all coaches, but this is really gearing towards when you're offering a program that has content. Know what type of coaching you can disperse depending on the program that you're offering and the investment your clients are making. And weaving in this coaching is really what's on the rise. That it's not just enough to give great information, but you've got to also address that mindset piece as well. So if you have any other questions for this trend, you can type those below. And I'd love to hear your favorite frames. What are some of your favorite frames? Type those into the comments there, and let me know what your favorite frames from this particular trend are. And you've been hearing me talk about the live event. This is another one. We're going to get into this particular idea on day 3, so that you know how to weave coaching in, you know what that's going to look like, when to do it, what not to do, when you're giving too much, and that kind of thing. We're going to have some fun interactive experiences for you around this, so it's super clear, so that at the event, you are clear in how to structure your packages, how to structure your programs, and how to structure your pricing, okay? So you've got that as well. So there is, Anita says, do you have a rule of thumb to typically charge for each level? It's going to depend. The biggest rule of thumb, Anita, is what is the transformation somebody's experiencing. Like whatever degree of transformation they're experiencing, the investment should match that. So we won't be able to sit down and really dissect that right now. But the rule of thumb is that, a home study program is like a $47, $97 type of thing. Group coaching is usually around, it could be anywhere from $200, $250 to $500, $700 a month for each participant in a group program. Your private coaching packages, they're going to be anywhere from $2,400 for a package, $4,800 for a larger package, somewhere in there. For something like a boot camp, like a 7-module kind of program, it's probably going to be around a $2,000, $1,997 price point. Something like a 10-month or a year-long program is going to be anywhere from $10,000, $15,000, $25,000 in that range. So I'm giving you pretty broad ranges. But I would want to sit down with you, Anita, and say at each of those levels, what's the transformation that what are the results somebody's going to experience, and then what needs to be included in that package for them to get that result. And then we would kind of figure out the pricing based on that. Okay. Okay, so some of the favorite frames. Sherry says, every trend you've mentioned is fully supported in the Coaches Console features. Even though I'm a newbie, I feel so ahead of the game. Awesome. Yeah, and so it is, we with the Coaches Console, we're always doing research to make sure we're bringing you the biggest and best so that you can have that thriving business. And we're always doing research on behalf of you. I've spent the better part of 2 years. I'm in a particular mastermind where I invest my time and my money, and we're researching these trends. And we're looking at what's happening in the industry, what's happening in the market, so that we can bring this to you so you know how to shape and respond in your business. So we try to stay ahead of that curve and help you stay ahead of that curve. And that's exactly what we're doing here today. Hey, Lindsay. Lindsay says, where in Atlanta is the event held? It's at the Westin. And when you claim your ticket, we are going to give you all the details on the hotel. We actually have a room block on the hotel that has a special discounted room rate for people that are coming to our event. So don't just book with the hotel. Make sure you get the special information, and we've got a unique link. So you'll get a special room rate, and we'll give you all those details, but it's at the Westin. I think there's a lot of them in Atlanta. So make sure you get that link when you claim your ticket. It'll take you to the right one. Lindsay also says, favorite frame, popping in and out and getting solid info each time. Perfect. Yeah, just pop in and out. Come here. This will live inside the Facebook group. So we're going to be, you can grab stuff and come back and get things that maybe you missed. Jackie says, what is the typical duration of a home study program? That is something, we have a whole entire course on that inside our boot camp, and we spend a whole entire month developing that inside our accelerator program. So Jackie, that's really a question that is way more involved. I can't say for a home study program, it should be X, Y, and Z. And every module should be A, B, and C. there is a lot more that goes into the architecture of that, and I'm not able to share that with you here during this particular 2019 Trends LiveCast. We do get that into our programs. We are going to be covering that in our live event, where we are going to have more time together, and we'll be going into that so you know how to construct your packages and programs and that kind of thing. So we'll be sharing it more there. Okay, let's go to trend number 6. And this is our last trend. This is one of my favorite trends. This is one of the trends that just about everybody comes kicking and screaming at. And this is one of the trends that most people are super quick to skip over. I hope you're not one of those people. If you're in boot camp, you're probably not one of those people. If you're in boot camp and you've tried to be one of those people, I hope not. But this is another interesting trend, because the trend itself, it's always been a trend in marketing. This one really is all about marketing. A lot of these others have been about client experience, content creation, a little bit about onboarding, and some about marketing. But this one's really all about marketing. And this one's interesting because this has always been something that you do. There's just a variation on it that's evolving. Hang on while I take a sip of water. So this trend, trend number 6, is we are going to redefine the word niche. Now, like I said, having a focus on who you serve and who you work with, it is the cornerstone of marketing. I don't care how long you go back. I don't care if you're doing print advertising. I don't care if you're doing online marketing. I don't care if you're doing multi-level marketing. I don't care how you're doing marketing. Having a focus on who you serve and the type of client you work with, it's a must. You cannot have a business without it. You might attempt to have a business. You might have a little bit of accidental success if you aren't having this, but it won't last, and you will work hard, and it will be super frustrating. I promise you that. But this trend, what used to be true about this trend is that the word niche was defined by characteristics or an attribute of a certain kind of person, right? So the stay-at-home mom, or the startup business owner, or women in transition, or people in retirement, like whatever, right? It was attributes, like a certain age range, a certain demographic. I could only work with women that are in this particular spot. And it was, there's a lot of pushback on this because it creates a sense of limitation, right? It creates a sense of limitation, and it creates this feeling of, I'm leaving people out that I actually would really love working with. Okay. And this trend, while it remains a solid cornerstone, the variation is that it's less on the type of person and more on their journey of transformation, right? So in boot camp, we teach Pain Island and Pleasure Island. And so when you encounter the people that you are meant to work with, they're facing certain challenges in their life, right? They're living on Pain Island. They're facing those challenges and they don't know how to get out of them. And then those same people, they also want certain results in their life. They don't know how to get it on their own. That's why they've come to you, right? And so you've got Pain Island, the challenges that they face. You've got Pleasure Island, the results, the desires, the intentions the outcomes that they want. And you've got this line in between. That's the journey of transformation. When somebody steps out of their comfort zone and onto that path heading towards their goals and desires, they're now on that journey of transformation. And that description of the collective challenges that a certain group of people face, and that description of the results that same collective group of people want, and that journey of transformation that they experience on the way, that is what defines niche, right? And so this is the trend that we're seeing heighten and become more succinct. So an example, if I'll use ourselves again. So within Coaches Console, we work with startup coaches, right? That is our specialty focus. Now, really, our niche is entrepreneurs starting their business who are not making money, they're not getting clients, and they're feeling overwhelmed and frustrated and burnt out. And they want to be making money doing what they love. They want to be working with the clients that light them up. They want to be making an impact on this world. So those types of people, if that describes you, you're our client. Now, we happen to hyper focus on coaches because it's the world that we come in. Kate, my business partner, and I, we're both coaches. So we love that world. But we also have a lot of healers. We have a lot of speakers. We have personal trainers. We've got nutritionists. We've got consultants. We've got a lot of different entrepreneurs that come to us because they're not making money. They're not making clients. They're overwhelmed and burnt out. They want to make money doing what they love. They want to be working with a lot of clients, and they want to be making an impact in this world, right? So there's an example. If we had just made it about the type of person, then for many of you that are on the call that aren't coaches, we wouldn't be talking. And that's no fun. Because I'm all about, if you want to do the work you love doing and you want to get paid generously to do so, I'm going to help you create a business to do that. I don't care who you are, what kind of business you have, right? And so now I don't have to leave anybody out. Now I'm like, come on, let's come over here. Come join me. There's plenty of room. So now it's inclusive and it's expansive and it creates that sense of community, right? And Sherry says the difficulty is in succinctly articulating the challenge and result. And that comes with practice, Sherry. And I'm going to give you a little tip on that, which you actually already know this tip, but I'm going to give it to you again. And so the teaching point here is that it's less about who you work with and the attributes, and it's more about the journey of transformation. It's about, like Sherry said, it's about articulating those challenges that they face and the results that they want. And that experience, that journey of transformation that somebody's experiencing. That's what a niche is all about. And when you can do that, there's plenty of room for all kinds of different people, men and women, young and old, working and retired, whatever it is, right? And so you can bring more people into that mark. Now, here is the thing to know about this. When you're first getting started in your business or any time in your business, I was just on a marketing meeting with my team earlier this morning, and we're going through this yet again. We just did it 2 years ago. We just did it last fall, and now here we are. We're doing it again. So we don't stop doing this. No business ever stops doing this. So if you're just getting started or you've been in business for a while, the tip that I want to share with you is that you can never guess at how to market to your people. You can never guess at how to articulate those challenges. You can't guess at how to articulate those results. The only way you know how to articulate those challenges and results is by asking them. You have to continuously do your market research. It is so interesting to me how so many business owners, actually it's not interesting to me, I know exactly how it happens, but so many business owners, they just focus on the work that they do and finding people to do that work. And why that's true is because it's our passion. My passion is coaching. I love helping people create transformation in their world and get better results. And so naturally, I'm going to focus on my coaching. But if I want to truly do coaching and I want to reach out to those people and put myself out there, I have to do my market research to understand them at an intimate level. So I know how they are describing the challenges and how they are articulating the results. And once I do that research and I collect their words and their phrases and their languaging on how they describe their challenges and how they describe their results, now I've got this gold mine, this collection of words and phrases that I can simply use to articulate it, right? I'm never the one that determines the challenges that they face. I don't come up with the results that they want. I'm talking to them and they're telling me, and then I just regurgitate it in my marketing, right? And so it's one of the biggest cornerstones of your business, not just for marketing, but for everything. It's going to help you understand how to create your content, what programs to put together, how to package your services, right? Have you ever said, I need to come up with a name of my business, and I don't know, maybe this, maybe that, I'm not sure. What sounds super cool, right? Well, that tells me you haven't done your market research. Because it wouldn't be about what sounds cool. It's about, well, what are the clients going to resonate with? What are they going to recognize? When you say your business name, are they going to recognize it, right? Or have you ever said, maybe you offer sample sessions. And in those sample sessions, you want to give it a name, a result-based name. And have you ever said, I've got 6 different options. I don't know what to call it. What do y'all think? And you go around and you ask a bunch of friends. Well, if those friends are your ideal clients, that's good market research. But if they're just friends, who cares what they say? What matters is what are your clients going to resonate with when they hear it? So market research is super, super, super important. It makes marketing easier. It makes finding your clients easier. It makes getting referral partners easier. It makes forming your programs, products, and services, and all of that way easier. So we got a couple questions. Sherry says, actually, Sherry says 2 things. What is the best way to ask was her first question. And then if surveys are the way, how many questions should there be? So the best way to ask, it could be a survey. If you already have a list of people, it could be a survey and you email out a survey. If you maybe you have a smaller list, so you could even do it with a smaller list. You can call people. Just pick up the phone and call people. You could send an individual email to them and ask them some questions. You could create, when I first started my coaching business, it wasn't as much online as it was in person in my local community. Invite everybody over to a gathering at your house or at a central community center or an area, and ask them, and just sit down and have a little group chat and ask them collectively. But surveys are a great way to do it. How many questions? When you're just getting started, really all you want to know is when you're awake at night, what keeps you up as it relates to the work that you do, right? Like for me, it's all about creating the business beyond your wildest dreams. So I would ask somebody, when you can't sleep at night because you're frustrated and overwhelmed, like what's keeping you up? What's stressing you out about your business? Right? If you're in relationship coaching, it would be about relationship. If it's all around health and wellness, right? You get the idea. So it's really all like, what are your challenges that you face that keep you up at night? And if you could wave a magic wand, what are the results that you want? If everything could be the way you wanted, what are the results that you want in your world? Those are really the 2 most important questions. Now, there could be a lot of other variations on that question. And you want to give them the ability to respond in their own language. Oh yeah, Sherry just made the comment. Surveys tend to put words in their mouths. A lot of people will create surveys where it's choose A, B, C, or D. That's not what I'm talking about. And you don't want to have leading questions where you're leading the witness, so to say, in your questions. But just in a survey, it's like, what are the biggest challenges that you're facing in the area that you do coaching? Like for me, it would be, what are the biggest challenges you're facing in your business? What do you most want to experience with your business? What's your biggest stuck spot, an obstacle right now in your business? And so, there's not a correct number of questions to ask, but it depends on if you're just doing initial market research. Those are really the 2 most important. If you're doing a deep dive survey, there's going to be a lot more variations to that. Okay. Brenda says, you sound like you were on my coaching call this morning. I was secretly sneaking in. Okay, so that's the little tip or the little insight about trend 6, redefining niche. So niche is no longer limiting, confining, constraining. It's expanding and it's inclusive. And there's room for a lot of people that share those challenges, that share those results and are on that same path of transformation. So the newbie tip for this one is do your market research, conduct at least 3 to 5 interviews, call people, 3 to 5 people that are your ideal client. They might be clients of yours. They might not be clients of yours. They might be friends of yours that have already had this transformation, colleagues of yours, but contact at least 3 to 5 and you'll immediately start seeing patterns show up. Okay. And then pull out those common words and those phrases that you're seeing, those patterns, and begin to use those in your marketing, begin to use those in your messaging and your storytelling, and meet your clients where they are because you're using the language that they're using. And then the pro tip is that deep dive survey that I was getting at. Do that deep dive survey to your list where you're getting more extensive on the information. And you're beginning to ask them things like, how is this challenge negatively impacting your life? You're asking them things like, when you have this result, how will it positively impact? What will that mean to you and your life when this is in place? You're asking them, what is their specific obstacle that they're faced with right now. You ask them things like, what additional areas would you like to learn about? So doing that deep dive survey to your list, and reviewing all of those answers, and then analyzing it, and not just reviewing and analyzing all the answers, but specifically paying attention to those people who respond with longer answers. The longer the answer, the more committed that person is, the better the ideal client they are, and you really want to take heed to what they're saying. Okay. When we were at the live event last year, one of the gals that was in attendance, we had a workbook. And when you filled in the workbook throughout the event, that became your business plan. And she took that business plan home, and within 1 week, she contacted me after it. She was not one of our clients. She had just attended the event. And within 1 week, she contacted me and had to share her celebrations with me because of what she learned at the event related to niche, related to that journey of transformation and getting clarity in that, and how to talk about that to prospects and enrollment conversations. And because of the clarity that she got in those 3 days at the live event, within a week, she was able to go call back prospects that she had initially contacted her, interested in her services, but she kind of floundered in how to talk to them. And she wasn't clear herself, so they weren't clear themselves, and they didn't say yes to her services. So she called them back. And with this new clarity, she met with one of them a week after the event, and she conveyed this clarity and articulated it in a way to that prospect. And the prospect got super excited. The prospect said yes. And in that one company that she was working with immediately brought 40 clients to her business. And then they referred another company that they knew was experiencing something similar and wanting what she had just described. And so she had a referral that led to another handful of clients as well. And so when you have clarity in this, it's when you have clarity, your prospects have clarity. When your prospects have clarity, your enrollment conversations are easier, and you get a lot more yeses, and you get more referrals. And that's why, this trend isn't a new trend, but I put some attention on this because of the way it's expanding and the slight variation of it, that I want to make sure you have this as you're doing your marketing throughout 2019. Because when you do, you're going to get more yeses. And when you do, you're going to be able to work with more clients and serve more clients and have that business that you've been dreaming of having, that is yours to have. And that's what I want for you in this coming year. So Sherry just said, such good information. I need to watch this again and again. Yeah, it's going to be there for you. We're not going to take it down. So you'll have it. And you can access it. And yes, Ryan, we have been seeing all of your notes about all the different times you've been mentioning PDF. So not to worry, we are taking note of that. So you will have this. This will live there, and you'll be able to come back and take pieces of it and integrate it into your business so that your 2019 is the year beyond your wildest dreams. That's what I want for you. We've been fortunate for the 14 years that we've been in business. Every year, it's been better than the year before, and then better than the year before, and better. And I just met with our accountant, and we're going to have another year beyond our wildest dreams. And that is really what I want for you. And that's when I spend my time doing this research for you and on behalf of you. Because when you have this information, and when we get together at the live event and I can help you organize it and to implement it and build that business plan for 2019, you are going to be unstoppable. So when you head over to coachesconsole.com/live, you'll be able to get your ticket to our live event. I've said it several times throughout the course of the LiveCas today. For just a limited time, just a short amount of time left, you can get a discount on that ticket. We've got an early bird pricing. It's just for a limited time, so you want to grab your ticket before it goes away. When you click on that link or go to coachesconsole.com/live and you claim your ticket, you'll see all the details about the discount and the savings that you get, the deadline for that ticket, and all the details about the event. And once you claim your ticket, we're also going to give you information to the venue and the hotel in Atlanta, with a special link because we have arranged a special room block so you get a discounted room rate for being part of our event and part of this community and this group. So be on the lookout for that. So that is, I want you to be there, like truly selfishly, very greedily. I'm not sure if that's a word, but I'm going to make it up right now. I want you to be there because when we can get together and when we have like imagine what we just did in 3 hours, right? Imagine when we have 3 days together, what you'll be able to experience and what you're going to implement in your business. It's going to be at the beginning of the year. It's going to set you up for an outstanding year in 2019. And I just want you there. I want us to be together. I want to come off that stage. I want to come down. I want to be able to look in your eyes. I want you to ask your hard questions and your great questions. I want you to be greedy with me and my team that's going to be there. And we're going to rock this out for you and for your business. We're going to put our attention on those small tweaks in your coaching business that can make the big breakthroughs. So that's what we got for you. So head over to coachesconsole.com/live and go ahead and get your ticket. And we've got that limited time for the special early bird pricing. So get your ticket. It's my holiday gift for you, right? I want to do this for you, and the gift giving season. So I want to make sure that you've got this, and it's an easy yes for you. Let's see. We've got Brian says you guys make such great PDFs. Renee says excellent content. See you in Atlanta in February. I hope to see all of you there in February. So I just want to do a quick recap. I'm going to run through the list quickly of the 6 trends. So trend number 1, smaller chunks, bite-sized pieces. Give them an experience that they can engage with, right? Trend number 2, it's not about getting the client making the sale. It's about creating an outstanding client experience for them as well. Number 3, community is paramount. You've got to create that highly engaged community. I gave you the 7 steps to do that, but community is paramount. Trend number 4, simultaneous implementation. Learn and do must coexist. It's not just great to have awesome strategies and information. It's not just great to have awesome coaching. You have to actually give them accountability and help them implement step by step, click by click. Trend number 5, when creating your packages, your programs, make sure that you weave coaching at the appropriate level throughout so that you're not only helping give them great content and coaching, but you're helping with their mindset as well. And trend number 6 is redefining niche. It's not about the type of person, the qualities, characteristics, attributes. It's about the journey of transformation, the challenges that a collection of people face, and the results that a collection of people want. So that is that. Sherry, we're going to get in touch with you offline to make sure you've got all the details that you need to make a decision. And when you do go to coachesconsole.com/live, you'll find all the details about that event, the dates, the special early bird pricing that we have going on. All of that is there. Kathy asks, are you still doing the event once in February? We do it one time a year, February 11, 12, and 13. So Kathy, I'm going to hold the intention that miracles will happen and somehow you'll be able to be there. I don't know how yet, but I've seen crazier things happen. So I do want you all there. And so I just want to wrap up. We've got just a couple more minutes. Just overall favorite frames from today. I know a lot of you all stuck with me for the duration. That was outstanding and awesome. Others of you popped in and out. That was kind of the design of it. It's here. You can come, you can go as you need to. This is going to live on the Facebook page and in the Facebook group, so you'll be able to access it whenever you need to. And you can get those in those bite-sized pieces, and you can have that experience and get engaged. Tell me some of your overarching favorite frames and nuggets from the collective experience today. I know one of my favorite frames, I'll start this one. One of my favorite frames is the questions that you all asked, the comments that you made of me, but not only that, how you were interacting with each other. Like you all were living one of those trends that we were talking about. Ryan asked a question, Sherry posts the answer. It's like Sherry's like, I got your back. Here's your answer. Copy paste, made it super easy for you. Like that was happening nonstop. And I loved watching you all live what we were teaching. So you already know this in your bones. Like you got this. Now it's just a matter of making sure that you're doing this in your own businesses with your own people. And that's what next year is all about. So type in those favorite frames. I want to hear overarching, what is that takeaway? What is that nugget? What's a favorite frame that you had there? And Renee says that community is key. Weave community into everything. And if you haven't read that, go get that little book. It makes for a great gift. Makes for a great client gift too. Tribes. Seth Godin Tribes. It's an awesome little book, fun little book. Let's see. Jackie says, favorite frame, tips on building community and engagement. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Lindsay says, favorite frame is learning more about the different types of coaching and when to engage and scale. Nice, nice, nice. Ryan says engagement is a living, breathing thing. Absolutely. You know, Ryan, I believe earlier you said something to the effect when we were talking about community and you're like, yeah, these communities, I don't know, they're not my thing. I really can't connect, that kind of stuff. And you were talking about those, the outcasts. So the 7 steps that I gave you about community is what you can do as a leader. The other thing that you can do is you can teach them that they have to take responsibility to reach out, right? And so it's about both of those things happening, right? Sherry says, favorite frame, after 3 hours, that you could stuff so much information in 3 hours nonstop and that the people came back and experienced it in bite-sized pieces. I know, right? I was like, let's see how this goes. And it worked really well. I'm going to have to go drink a lot of hot lemon and honey to coat my throat and save my voice. Tina says, I love the redefining the niche. Yeah, it's just inclusive, expansive, bring everybody in. Lindsay says, community plus experience equals transformation. Right on, baby. That's exactly it. And Lindsay says, I love that book. I think this little book is the one she's talking about. Ryan says, I need to start reading that. Yeah, Ryan, I saw your comment earlier that you actually have this book and haven't read it. So let's see. I would recommend, hang on, let me find it. There is one particular, well, you'll find it. I'm trying to open up and find what page do I want you to read first. I want you to just jump straight through it. Like there's a favorite thing on page 63 about curiosity. Not only did I dog ear it, underline it, made notes, I also put a tab on it. And also in leading your community, make sure, Ryan, you go to page 91. So try those out first and then figure out if you want to go read the rest of the book. Okay. Sherry says, I have 4 pages of notes. I had 20 pages of notes, Sherry. You almost caught up with me. Sherry says, I have 4 pages of notes. I think I got every bit of it. I think you did too. Sherry says, yeah, I can't believe you can still talk. And Peter says, small bite-sized info and build the experience. It's all about the experience now in an info overloaded digital world and having solid tools and results to come away from working with me as a coach all along the journey of transformation. Drop the mic, walk off the stage. That just summarized all 6 trends into one beautiful experience. I just want to read it again. Small bite-sized info and build the experience. It's all about the experience now and in an information overloaded digital world and having solid tools and results to come away from working with me as a coach all along the journey of transformation. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for summing it up so well, Peter. And Patricia said, bite-sized like holiday meal, digest and not enjoy stuffing yourself so much that you can't move. Yeah, your clients don't want to have that experience either. Little bite-sized pieces, consume it, digest it, implement it. Next, and let it be like that. All right, Ryan's got to go read the book. We've got to wrap this up. We've got 2 minutes to spare. I can't believe it. Thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Thank you for being committed to your business. Thank you for being committed to your clients. And I want to thank you for being committed to our live event. So head over to coachesconsole.com/live and claim your ticket. You have a very short time frame where you can get your ticket and still get the early bird pricing where you've got a significant savings on your ticket. I want to make sure you get to take advantage of that. I don't want you to make a decision a few weeks from now and be like, what? I didn't have to pay this much money? But, you know, if you do, that's fine too. But you can get it right now at a special rate. Go click on coachesconsole.com/live, coachesconsole.com/live, and claim your ticket. We'll send you the information to book your hotel So you get that special room rate as well. And we will see you in Atlanta. So thank you, everybody. I love you from the bottom of my heart. I can't wait to support you in creating a business beyond your wildest dreams in 2019. And I can't wait to see you in Atlanta to do so. All right, enjoy. Bye.